There's no time.
The time is
13
o'clock.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It's Saturday once again. We've got our drinks going. Holy crap. Oh, I thought you had drank like more than that. Like you were drinking and I was like, oh my God, is it half gone already? We just started.
No. I didn't have it all that full anyway.
Oh, okay. So you scared me there for a second.
No.
I thought you took like a big, huge slug of it.
No, it's pretty strong, but it's, you know what I mean? It's more concentrated.
Oracle's waving at us. Hi, everybody.
What's up,
Thank
everybody?
you for dropping
See
by
how everybody's doing.
on this Saturday. We're doing like a nice, fun, creepy topic. I mean, the last show was fun too, but it was about murder, so it's not quite as fun.
I kind of like the paranormal ones better.
I know you do, but it's just that
I have more fun with them.
Well, like I said, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of two minds about it because the paranormal ones, for me, they're kind of like a bigger pain in the ass to do because taking notes and the stories behind them are so like nebulous. Mm-hmm. True crime is much more matter of fact, which is easier for me.
There's a lot more evidence.
But the paranormal ones, I don't feel as bad. Like having a good time on the show and like getting all fucking crazy as when I'm talking about like the murders of actual people, which I feel kind of bad, like getting entertainment value
Only
out of.
one of the few true crime ones that I had a fucking blast with was Panzram.
Yeah.
Fucking Panzram.
Just because he was just such
a
a fucking piece of shit. I mean,
that dude was a fucking butt pirate. Running around raping men and shit. That's at gunpoint. Raping bums on the train at gunpoint.
I mean, that's
damn.
Just, right?
Damn.
It's like it's not.
And he let the women go. He had no interest in the women, just the men.
It's just craziness. That dude was just like
kind of reminds me of that. Shit. Kind of reminds me of that famous convict from England, Bronson.
Yeah.
Bronson wasn't
Charles Bronson, not that Charles Bronson.
Called himself Bronson.
Yeah, that wasn't his real name.
Sophie sent me the movie Bronson. It was good.
It was. I liked it a lot.
Kind of like Clockwork
Tom
Orange.
Hardy was in it.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He did actually. That was a crazy ass movie.
That's kind of how I imagine Panzram. As a guy like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. He's just somebody that he's just like a fucking psycho, and he just hated everybody.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah.
And love to get in trouble, and love to just rape and kill.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you very much.
Look at the little hug. Yeah. Look at the little butt wiggling. That's what Pookie's butt does.
Damn.
You see the wiggling butt?
I see it.
I call her wiggle butt sometimes.
Sophie said the Panzram show blew my mind too. What a psycho. That's why I sent you the Bronson movie.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I got that same vibe watching Bronson. I was like, I bet your Panzram was like that.
That's probably exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Although I gotta say, Bronson was kind of lovable.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of a piece of shit too, but not.
I don't think he killed anybody.
Not in the same way. I can't remember.
I don't think he killed anybody.
Not in the same way. I mean, Panzram was just like he would just. It was like a little boy like walking down the road, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna rape and kill that kid just cause."
Yeah,
you know
he didn't have any standards too, like dirty old fucking bums and shit. He just, if it was a man, he'd fucking rape and kill it or rape it. He didn't kill he didn't really kill the men, did he? Just the boys. I think he let.
I can't remember.
I think he let a lot of the men go.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't think Panzram ever killed anybody. He just when he would get in more trouble in prison and just
Bronson didn't kill
Bronson.
Anybody,
I mean,
Panzram definitely killed many people.
Panzram just got sent to prison for little shit, robberies and stuff, and then when he got into prison, he got into more and more and more trouble, taking people hostage and fighting the cops and we're running around. He'd take off all his clothes and rub himself down with fucking Vaseline to make himself slippery, and then go and attack the fucking guards. He'd be fighting 9-10 guards.
Which is a good idea.
Yeah, he's fucking nuts. And get more and more time and more time. The longer he was in prison, the more time he got. They'd put him in a little cage that he could only stand up in. He'd figure out how to work out in there. He wrote a book on how to work out in prison, how to get big in prison.
Yeah,
even in little cages,
like
and
in little bitty situations.
That's
a guy
I'd like to read that.
Life hands him lemons and he made lemonade.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the movie Bronson, I really recommend with Tom Hardy.
Which is about a real dude, and that dude is like still still alive, yeah?
Yeah, I think he is, yeah. He's still in prison.
I think we talked about him.
And if you like Clockwork Orange, it's in that same motif, I think. It kind of felt a lot like that.
Because it had like some weird kind of like surrealistic like elements to it.
But it's a real life story about a real character, and he's evidently England's most famous prisoner. And they had some big prison riot, and Bronson was famous because they got some helicopter footage of him. He's standing on top of the damn prison. On top of the prison. He escaped during the riot. And he's on top of the prison fucking acting like he's a badass with the helicopters looking at him. He's waving and shit. And he became...
he's a star.
And his fame, he became more of a star in England. For like, who's that fucker? Because that's Bronson.
Well, the thing about it, and I'm not sure if it's still true nowadays, but something that and I might have mentioned this before, but something that I noticed about the culture of the UK is they very much they don't love serial killers, but they very much love
convicts
or like gangsters that didn't they maybe killed people, but they only killed like other gangsters. Yeah. But they like kind of lovable criminals.
Well, the United States was kind of like that too, especially during...
I guess so.
During kind of Prohibition era gangsters and stuff, you know what I mean? They were a different cut of people back in those days. When you think about it, the 20s Prohibition era gangsters, the Depression was going on.
Yeah.
If very little opportunity in the United States, and if they had a thriving economy, those dudes wouldn't have been criminals. You know what I mean? They were intelligent. They didn't really want to be criminals. They just had to be.
Well, and they were taking advantage of Prohibition to like make a bunch of money.
Try to make a buck. And so eventually, what happened to a lot of those guys, if they didn't get killed, if they lasted long enough, they kind of went straight. Eventually, a lot of them as individuals, just because the situation got better. But some of them were veterans. They had higher IQs. They had skills. They had good taste in things. They were kind of... People didn't mind having them around. They weren't savages.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some of them were friends with the police. Because to be a successful 20s gangster, you had to be a very honest criminal. You had to be somebody that a politician or a cop would have you over to their house and could trust you around their families. Yeah. Because they did go over there. To eat and cut deals and stuff. They weren't the kind of person to... They had rules.
Well, they weren't like Carl Panzram.
No, they weren't like Carl Panzram. And they weren't even
He would just come to your house, rape your sons, and shit on your walls.
Yeah. And they weren't even like
They
weren't even like the Mexican mob or some of the Mexican cartels. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you could trust them guys. I mean, maybe might be wrong. There might be some of them that are trustworthy, but just from what I'm picking up, I don't think I trust them guys. The old Italian and Irish 20s gangsters in the United States, they were trustworthy. Which that kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but no.
Well, like I said, they have a code of honor. Yeah, you know what I mean. Some criminals do, and some criminals don't. Depends.
Look, we're having a paranormal show. We're talking about true crime.
I know.
Ain't that something? We
always fucking do that.
Whatever. We got some shout outs. We got some gifts we got to talk about before we start the show.
We do, yeah. Is that camera still on?
Yeah,
I don't know why it won't go off.
It's plugged in though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it won't hurt it.
No, it'll be all right.
Yeah, my boy Louis sent me a movie.
That's right.
Mr. Hernandez.
He sends us so many movies. I'm very excited about this one too. Yeah,
this is a fucking
check it
classic.
out, you guys.
Apocalypse
Now.
If I'm not mistaken,
that's a
Steelbook.
Yes, it
is.
Steelbook
Blu-ray. Fantastic movie.
I haven't seen this movie in like forever. So I'm like super stoked about it.
When I was fucking in the army, a lot of dudes said that my old army self, you know what I mean, just my build and the way I carried myself, I was actually a little classier back then for some strange reason. But a lot of people that knew me said that I reminded them of Willard.
From that movie, sure.
From that movie, yeah. Wasn't it Captain Willard?
Who played him in that movie?
What's that? Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen or Martin Sheen? Martin Sheen, yeah.
Charlie Sheen was
a lot of people said that. A lot of people that watched that movie said, "Ross, man, that reminds me of you, man. But man, you could play that role." And I was like, yeah, maybe.
I could see you looking like Martin Sheen when he was much younger.
Yeah.
When when Martin Sheen was much younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's kind of how I carried myself.
Yeah.
You know, my military bearing was a lot like that.
Well,
when I wasn't fucking up.
Which I'm sure I'm sure you did.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody fucks up.
Well, that was part of the culture.
That's what humans do.
Yeah, that was part of the culture.
Rebecca says, did you guys get Disney Plus yet to view The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1? You have to.
No, I'm going to get somebody to send me the Blu-ray.
I've thought about it.
I got a Blu-ray. I got a Season 1 I've got on a fucking, what do you call it? BoJack fucking Blu-ray. Yeah. What do you call them? Not I call it BoJack.
Like BoJack Horseman?
Yeah, BoJack is just you know, it's not the real thing. What do you call that? What's the word normal people use for that?
I don't have any idea. Cheap Jack ersatz.
No, BoJack. I'm trying to say. It's like an underground version of it.
Bootleg.
That's what I meant. Yeah. BoJack is bootleg.
What normal people use.
Means the same thing.
Tom doesn't know what words mean.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. No, that was a term that we used a lot. BoJack. It meant bootleg. Bootleg. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying there's a cartoon show called BoJack.
That's the Maniac knew what I was talking about. He said right there, bootleg. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I said bootleg.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I had actually thought, because I was watching something on Hulu, and then I was thinking about getting the HBO add-on for this for you guys are going to laugh. This is the reason that I thought about it. Because for some reason the other night, I know what reason it was, because we were watching one of Dan Bell's videos, and in the background of the video, because he always puts like kind of old music like that sounds like it's like coming through the, you know, the sound system of the mall, like it sounds all creepy and distant and everything. And the song that was playing was Magic by Olivia Newton-John, which actually I kind of like that song.
Yeah, we got to talk about it.
I always liked that song. So for some reason I was like, this song was in Xanadu, right?
And I go, yeah, man.
And it's like, we should watch Xanadu.
Yeah, and I got for you 13 O'Clock's fans, my first fucking encounter with fucking Xanadu was when I was at my Aunt Lois's house, and my Uncle Red, who was in the book Mountain Poltergeist, showed me. He goes, oh man, there's a new movie, you know, Olivia Newton-John, you know, thinking he's playing it, and he goes, it's called Xanadu, and I'm watching it, and I was kind of getting into it the first 20 minutes, and he goes, it's not that good though. And that was wah 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 wah, and that was all I remembered about him going, yeah, he's talking. It's not that good though. I was like, oh.
So
I saw part of it.
Yeah, like, so for some reason, like the other night, because we had watched that Dan Bell video so many times that had that song in it, I was like, we should totally watch Xanadu.
Yes, we rented Xanadu.
And so,
somebody requested that we actually review Xanadu.
We probably will one of these days. I'll put it in the box.
Because of the Greco-Roman fucking mythology. The Greco mythology.
I saw it when I was a kid, but I remembered very little about it.
He wanted to know my analysis from a mythological fucking standpoint. I thought it was good.
I totally forgot Gene Kelly was in that shit.
Gene Kelly was in it.
Gene Kelly was in
It's just a corny musical. It was very, very, very California. I was growing up in California at the time that they filmed this movie. It did have a very authentic California 1980 feel. That's the way California seemed to be. It was a good place. But, you know, Florida feels like that now. California isn't like that anymore.
Except you don't see people in, like, little bitty fucking velour shorts roller skating down the boardwalks or anything. Not that I know of. I haven't seen that for many years.
But Olivia was looking fantastic in it. Just a fucking perfect late 70s, early 80s fucking chick, you know, that they had back then. Fucking, it was kind of like along the lines of Grease. It was a musical like that.
There wasn't as much of a story.
Wasn't much of a story.
I feel like it was just like a series of music videos with kind of like a little bit of a story like sandwiched in between. But that's all right.
Very much a feel-good type movie. It was kind of like a gender swap version of fucking Superman. Instead of a Greek god coming down and meeting a woman, Lois Lane, this is a Greek goddess coming down and meeting a man.
Coming out of the mural on the wall. She
came out of a mural of the mall food court. What it looked like.
Which
I was like, man, that looks like a food court.
It did look like a food court. It's like, we put the 9 muses on there.
Yeah,
sure.
9 muses, and I liked it though because it made a lot of sense because they jumped out, and her and her 8 other sisters, they were all different races and ethnic groups. They were like supposed to be physical perfection in terms of beauty and everything. for a global kind of market. You know what I mean? They had fucking Asian ones and Indian ones and black ones and white ones of different kinds and fucking different ethnic groups. And they all come out and they whoosh, go off in different directions of the earth so they can all blend in wherever they go. And the whole thing is that they're supposed to enhance a man's artistic ability and to bring him and to develop his personality. I guess this would be a good way to describe it. And one of them ends up in California, right there near the food court. That one happened to be Olivia. With
the roller skates that were
and
like
roller skating,
they were like knee high, like
leg warmers,
like boots.
Oh
my god, the leg warmers.
Over the shoulder fucking dresses like fucking Fleetwood, like fucking what's the girl from Fleetwood Mac? What's her name? Fucking
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks dresses and shit. You can't get any more 1980 than that.
You really can.
No.
I mean, it was so 1980 that I was just
good singing, good acting, everything totally normal. There's no abnormality in the damn movie. It all kind of.
Although I told him, I said we're watching this now. I said the song Xanadu is going to be stuck in my head for
Xanadu.
I'm like
Xanadu.
It is.
I can't
Tila asks, "Did you ever see the movie Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club?"
Yeah, I liked it.
I did.
Love it.
And that movie is like a guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah,
I saw
dumb
it,
as shit.
I
really
saw it
good.
a bunch of times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved
that was my
movie.
first introduction to the BDSM scene with Mr. Mustard and them damn two fucking vinyl robot chicks, man. Sexy as hell. I was like,
yeah. It's a weird movie.
Yeah, I was like fucking
Alice
10.
Cooper was in it. Aerosmith was in it.
I was probably like 12 and I'm going,
The Bee Gees
I need
were
a
in
girlfriend who dresses just like that. And it happened. It happened. It happened many times. Jenny was one of them, dressed just like that. Their fetish outfits. It's a good movie, man. I like Sgt. Pepper. If you like Sgt. Pepper's, you got to see Phantom of the Paradise, which is it's a musical.
Yeah, we reviewed that one.
It's a rock musical. Anyway, it's a rock 70s rock musical that has every version of 70s music in it. Ranging from metal to disco to early new wave. It's just a good story, and it's fucking off the wall, real well made. What was funny about Xanadu is that I remembered it being a disco movie, but it's not disco. It's prog rock.
It's prog rock, yeah. It was ELO.
ELO.
I remembered it being a disco movie too. Maybe I was thinking of something. I guess because the roller skates.
Roller skates.
I guess it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Sgt. Pepper's movie. Somebody like Oracle mentioned. Yeah, Steve Martin was in that. He was, Maxwell.
Yeah,
Maxwell Silverhammer.
Yeah.
And George Burns was in it. He was Mr. Kite. It was an all-star cast.
DJ Maniac says, I'm over here acting like I don't remember the leather man from the fucking from the Village People. Of course I remember the leather man and the Indian and the sailor. Fucking, you know what I mean?
Who was the construction worker, right?
The construction worker, the lineman. Yeah. But you see, when you're a kid, you don't really understand what it is you're seeing. You know what I'm talking about? You don't really know. You can't make that leap. It's just dudes. You know what I mean? It wasn't sexualized or anything. But fucking, yeah, I remember. in its time. Actually, no, I'm gonna say the Village People music is a work of pop music genius. Actually, I think they're.
Well, people are still talking about their asses nowadays.
Yeah,
so.
very, very much. They knew exactly what they were doing. Although I don't think it tops Bee Gees. Bee Gees fucking.
I kind of have a soft spot for the Bee Gees, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that kind of music that came out, because like I said, during that time period, it's like as much as I didn't like. I don't know if I'm going to say I didn't like it at the time, because I think I did. But it's like now, even as much as I like, my regular shit, my punk, my goth, my all that kind of stuff. But it's like, if fucking Barry Manilow comes on, I'm not going to turn that shit off. I'm going to tell you right now. Or Tom Jones or anything like that. I'll be like, all right. Let's see where we're going with this. But it's funny because after we finished watching Xanadu, I was actually going to say, now I kind of feel like watching Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and then we can watch the pirate movie with Christy McNichol, which is another one that I watched like a million times growing up, which is probably terrible. I saw that before I saw the Pirates of Penzance, the movie version with what's his name? Kevin, the guy in the fish called Wanda. But yeah, so anyway. Yeah,
Tila's asking about what was Phantom of the Paradise. Was it like Phantom of the Opera? Yeah, it was
sort of, but
but
kind of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show as well.
Yeah, that's what Sophie said. Kind of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's about a guy who is trying to get a record contract through a bad, real evil kind of record company. I don't remember all of it. He signs his soul over to some kind of doesn't he sign his soul to
Paul
the
Williams
devil?
is the devil, essentially.
Yeah. And something bad happens to him and he comes back as the fucking Phantom of the Paradise.
Of the Paradise, and he's all fucked up.
Yeah, and if it's got like all the great rock music of the 70s is kind of, there's no famous artists doing the music, but it sure kind of, everything kind of sounds like it was made by Bowie or Aerosmith or
so in that sense,
Judas
it's
Priest
got like
or
a Velvet Gold Mine.
It's like the Velvet Gold Mine,
which
kind of.
came along later.
If you ever seen that movie, it's like a parallel universe version of all that stuff because you just got to see it to
also,
understand
Jessica Harper, who was in Suspiria, the original Suspiria.
Yeah.
She is also in this movie.
Yeah.
And she's young and lovely.
But
I'm not sure if that's really her singing. I think it is.
Well, the thing that stood out to me in it is that fucking it was the Phantom of the Paradise. He's going to commit some kind of a damn assassination, and the carbine that he uses was the same fucking weapon that fucking shit. Oh, what's his name used? I'll remember it later.
He always says, "What's his name?" Like I'm
like Jenny knows who I'm fucking talking about.
You know, the guy with the head and the arms.
Yeah, the dude with the head and the arms. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Eddie Murphy did a movie about him. We just saw it, the great one.
Dolomite.
Oh,
Rudy Ray Moore.
Rudy Ray Moore in the Dolomite movie pulled out a damn, I think it's called an H&R carbine. It's just a fucking California's take on an Uzi. They didn't make very many of them. They still make them though. It's kind of just a weird ass fucking gun. But it was just kind of strange that I saw that in Phantom of the Paradise, and then I saw it in that Rudy Ray Moore flick. And I was like, oh man, that's that same gun. You know, and if you're into guns and shit, you know, I didn't know what it was, but that was like a very fucking obscure, cool gun, like something that James Bond would have. You know what I mean? In both of those movies. But it's like kind of forgotten now. If you have one, it's like a classic. It's like a cult classic. But, you know, gun dudes, you know, they're like...
Oracle said, I think it was her singing. Didn't she sing for Shock Treatment as well? Yeah, I think you're actually right about that. I haven't seen Shock Treatment for a while. That's the sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show, in case you guys did not know. Not as good, but it was still pretty fun. Michael says, was I the only one that was dumb when I was a little kid and thought the actors on the shows sang the theme songs? I think I thought that too about a couple of shows. So you probably aren't the only one. All right. So we actually had another, I said thank you to Louie for sending us Apocalypse Now. I also had a couple of other shout outs to...
I'm going to get back here where I have a little bit more room.
Yeah, go back there with like Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I'll come back here with Baby I'm going to have to fucking have like a commanding view of everything and like access to this drink.
Well, yeah, you need like all the... He needs to sit back there and kind of like survey.
I feel small as shit right now. My hormones are coming back into balance, so now I feel small. Now I feel fucking small.
Because he's always complaining about it. I swear to God, you guys, it's like...
I'm either big or small. I'm either bloated and pregnant or I'm fucking small.
Like, welcome to my world. This is like what women have been going through since like they first go through puberty when they're like 10 or 11 years old.
I feel like I got developing bigorexia or some shit like that.
You probably
I'll be all right. I'll be all right. And the thing is that
do I look bloated? Do I look bloated?
Yeah, there's no difference. Well, there is a difference.
And I'm just like, I don't know.
Not enough
you
can
look the
see.
Same.
It's just you can only feel it, and then your mind takes over. You know what I mean?
I told you. It's just like if you're a girl.
Did you get me pregnant?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Fuck.
Just like in Species.
Was
it Species?
I don't know.
The one with
I don't think the men got pregnant in Species, did they?
She was trying to impregnate. Well,
I think
she was trying to.
I think she was trying to get pregnant, I think.
Wasn't there a movie where there was a female alien that was trying to impregnate male aliens? I mean, other than Alien.
I don't know.
Which, that alien was just like, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, I'm going to impregnate you.
Alien.
Well, yeah, that's what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Duh. Also, the other shout-outs, I wanted to thank Melanie for her PayPal donation. She gives us one quite often, so thank you very much for that. Also, want to thank Michael for his Patreon increase. He was a patron before, And then he just like upped his support this week. So thank you very, very much for that. You guys are awesome. Tammy says, LOL, Tom pregnant. Yeah, it is very funny to think about.
They're saying I need to access my flocka.
Is Tom going to have an anal baby? Oh, no.
They also said...
Under the Skin. Yeah, but maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That was a weird-ass movie. I don't think you saw that.
Somebody said that I was even dumber when I was a kid because I thought all the people on TV knew each other and they all lived together. I did. I remember that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like thinking that, like when I was real little.
I thought Rodney Allen Rippey knew Michael Jackson when they were kids back in the 70s. I was about 5 or 6.
Because they kind of looked alike?
Yeah, I thought Rodney Allen Rippey was part of the Jackson 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I saw little Michael Jackson singing, right? And then I see fucking little Rodney Allen Rippey talking about the Whopper. You guys don't know who... And I said, oh yeah, they know each other. And then, yeah, I was in
all the TV people know each other.
Yeah, they all live in there. They're all in the Jackson 5. And then it was funny because my mom took me to the Pike when I was a little kid, and it was out in Los Angeles, out in L.A. And I see Rodney Allen Rippey. Mom, and he's with his mom. I was like six, and he was like 6. And my mom and his mom were talking, and I see Rodney's up in the fucking Ferris wheel, with his mom and shit. And it's just, it's funny. And I was going, where's Michael?
Don't you guys hang out?
Yeah, where's Michael Jackson? Yeah. Because they were all little kids,
Aw.
Yeah, they were all on TV. They were all on TV together. They were all black, so they all know each other. Of course. All the white people knew each other, too. I just thought... I just thought he was in the Jackson 5.
That's just kind of like wherever you're from in the world. If you ever go to another country, and then like people ask you, "Hey, where are you from?" and you're and I'm like for example, like when I was in the UK, and they'd be like, "Hey, where are you from?" Let's say I'm from Florida. I'm from originally I'm from Daytona Beach. And they'd be like, "Oh, I know this person in Miami," and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, do you know that Miami is 5 hours away from Daytona Beach, right? At the point that I went to the UK, I'd never even been to Miami because it was, like, so far. I've been there since, but I just thought it was funny that people thought everybody in, like, America, like, knew each other, even though I was like, dude, I've never even been to Miami. And I lived in Florida my whole life. I'm like, that's like a 5-hour drive. Hardly anybody does that. But, yeah, so... Are we ready to start talking about ghosts?
Go ahead and talk about it.
Tila said they all had afros.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like the afro, though, man. They're trying to bring that back.
I'm down.
I saw a chick in a porn scene, man. She was fucking looking really good. And she had a huge fucking afro. That thing was like about 3 foot across.
Yeah,
like 3 foot across. She was booty and big old fucking implants and shit. But it looked good. It looked really good. They need to bring that back.
That was like the chick from the painting over Halloran's bed in the
dining. Exactly. Like the chick from over Halloran's bed. She looked just like that. I can even dig up her name. But I saw that thing and I was like, oh man, it looks cool. That's a hairstyle that should come back. It's time for that to come back.
I mean, it depends on it's just like any other hairstyle ever.
It looked good on skinny girls.
Everything looks good on skinny girls.
Yeah, it looks good on skinny girls.
But, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just like you have to have like the right shaped head. Yeah. It's just kind of like how some chicks can have like a shaved head and it looks really good. And then some people like me have a shaved head and it looks horrifying. My head just looks like a giant white marble. Yeah. So, you know what I mean?
It doesn't look that bad. When it was partially shaved, it looked
good.
Well,
partially shaved is fine.
Yeah.
But, I just fear that totally shaved, it would look like really, really bad. And I'm, like, too scared to try it, even though I'm sick of my fucking hair. And sometimes I wish I could shave it all off. But I guess I could shave it all off and just get a wig.
It wouldn't be any good.
I don't think it
would. You don't need a wig. You don't need a hair system.
A hair system.
If y'all don't know, I cut hair. I cut her hair all the time. I used to fucking shave her fucking sidewalls and give her the fucking sideburns, the goth haircut, where it was just sideburns and then skin, and she just had a top and then fucking and bangs.
I might do that again when warm weather comes again, because it's like it took me like 2 years to grow it all back out.
Your hair is long enough to do that.
And my hair is very, very long. It's like I always have it tied up because it's a pain in the ass, but my hair is like both halfway down my back.
Yeah.
And when it's summertime here, my hair is like really, really thick, so it's always kind of like, for a long time I would just keep all the underside shaved because it was so much cooler. Yeah. And plus when I washed it, it would like, it takes forever to fucking dry.
It's almost time where I can do that to you again.
Yeah, probably. I should probably get rid of because it's so heavy and it's just like. Ugh.
If you want me to do it, I can do it.
I mean,
it takes 15 minutes.
I'm thinking about it.
And just leave just the sideburns like I did last time.
Mark says I should do dreadlocks. I have considered that.
Dreadlocks are fucking problematic, man. They fucking stink. And they're fucking. You can't get them wet.
Yeah.
Can't get them wet. They'll go sour on you.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get dreadlocks, just fucking get a system. Get a hair system.
I need
so you can take them off. Get a hair system.
I was just thinking of Cy Sperling and his hair club for men. Yeah. And also those like late night infomercials that were essentially just black spray paint that you like sprayed on the top of your head. Those were fucking hilarious.
Tina says she's related to Diana Ross, Beyonce, Condoleezza Rice, and Cleopatra. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? That's funny. Well, you're gonna fucking lay it out there like that, Tila. You gotta prove it. We need to see some pictures to prove it. Whenever me and Jenny talk shit, we got pictures to prove the shit. I'm waiting for one of y'all to call me out on some of these wild tales. That's just, I got pictures. I got a picture of me doing that shit.
I have a picture.
I've been involved with some crazy shit. Jenny can fucking back me up.
I have a picture of you eating Tootsie Rolls out of a litter box.
Yeah, yep. Eating Tootsie Rolls
actually,
on a stage in front of fucking hundreds of people. Doing that shit.
And I have a picture of me on a stage with a dildo rubbing up like somebody, like this girl that's like in this leather outfit and she was all covered with whipped cream.
That's where at the Fetish Club.
Whipped cream or shaving cream or something. I can't remember.
It's all kinds of sex shit.
It was a long time ago.
We weren't nude though.
No.
It was all part of contests.
Everyone had clothes on.
It was part of these contests that we were at. We did it at this
I want some
Fetish
handcuffs,
Club.
I think.
It was a tranny club, really, where a fetish shit was happening.
Well, it's a gay bar, but they had like fetish nights.
Yeah, it had a real good theater, and my friend was running.
What happened to that place?
It's still out there. A friend of mine was running a really cool event there where they'd have fucking contests and fucking just funny competitions and dance night and everything. It was good. What was the name of that place? Escape.
Well, this club was called Southern Nights.
Yeah, Southern Nights.
The night was called Escape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was kind of a goth industrial fetish fucking night.
Yeah, and like I said, they had a really nice theater in there. And they would just do these ridiculous. Some of them were like disgusting, but the games and stuff.
Yeah.
And but you could win shit. You could win like $100 bar tab. You could win like all this kind of shit. But you had to do like really, really embarrassing, gross things.
Zach would have loved that shit. That shit was fucking pansexual. It was like a smorgasbord. All kinds of tops and power bottoms and shit. Zach would have been fucking just thrown himself into a sea of gays. He'd have loved that shit. Been riding the wave like a tsunami of ass. What's wrong with you laughing at?
I was going to say that's the next Chuck Tingle book.
Tsunami of ass.
The tsunami of ass in the sea of gays.
Yeah, well, it was like a crowd, you know?
That's Chuck Tingle's
fucking right, man. Zach knows what I'm talking about.
We've been going on for like 43 fucking minutes.
I'm getting drunk.
How many comments am I gonna get on this? Going, are you guys gonna talk about the ghosts or what?
No, we're just warming up. This is the pre-show. This is the pre-show.
I don't care.
There's always a pre-show.
We don't really get that many comments about it. I guess because like people that are like cranky about that kind of shit like don't watch live streams.
You just go, yeah.
And wouldn't watch because I always like mark that.
It's gonna be a couple hours this show probably.
It probably will. Yeah. Pounded in the butt by a sea of gays.
Exactly. You see, we got a classy fucking crowd out there that fucking gives me good quality comments. They've been keeping up with things and remembering things. They know the culture of the show. We have a whole culture. There's a whole culture behind this show.
Sorry, I just got distracted by the on-air sign. I put it on a different setting today, so it's kind of like going woo, like quicker than usual.
Yeah.
So it's like doing a weird shit behind my head. Like, because I have the program that goes with it, and there's all these like different settings. Most of them most of them like look pretty similar, but there's a couple that are good. But I've never used this one before.
Zachary said, "This is the gayest thing I've ever said, but can we appreciate how beautiful the interior of the Queen Mary is?"
It is beautiful. It's all like Art Deco and stuff.
Now, before we start this show, I want to tell you guys, growing up in California for like my first 13 years, I used to pass the Queen Mary and the Spruce Goose all the time. I was from Carson. I was from Carson, California, and moved to Long Beach, but was around in Long Beach and Signal Hill. Went to military school there and everything. Fucking, I went to the same school, fucking Quentin Tarantino in fucking in elementary school, which is Dominguez Elementary. Although he was a couple years older than me. I remember him. I thought I had a class picture with him, but then I did you did the research, and he was a couple years older than me, so we weren't in the same class.
Yeah, but you saw him around.
Saw him out in the field all the time, that little fucker.
That little fucker.
Little fucker, yeah. He was weird even back then. He was he was even worse. How you see him now, he was worse when he was a kid.
Well, just goes to show that, like, sometimes if you're weird in a particular way, you can become a fucking
Yeah, well, he worked at the video rental store up there. Yeah. Just up the street, and fucking, I know where he's talking about. That was a few blocks from where I was fucking born, you know. And, yeah. Also, behind the school there, that's where Jesse James's motorcycle shop ended up being later on.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that.
That's where the railroad tracks behind the school, and behind that was where Jesse James' place that was. When I was a little kid, we used to walk up and down those railroad tracks looking for dead dogs. Because that's what you do when you're a little boy. Let's go find some dead stuff.
Well, yeah, that's the whole premise of The Body, that Stephen King novella that they turned into Stand By Me.
We walk down that railroad track.
Let's go look for some dead body. Look, a dead body.
And then we walk down into the wildlife preserve and fucking jump into water and try to catch frogs and shit. We were catching fucking, in California, that's some crazy shit, in LA. We're fucking trying to catch frogs, and then fucking we were catching crawfish and trying to cook them without any seasoning or anything, trying to eat them. Like we were fucking wild men. We're like 7 or 8, you know what I mean? Trying to cook the fucking cooking. They were like 2 inches long. They tasted terrible.
Well, yeah, I bet. Shit's not ripe yet.
Yeah, and that was where right where I'm talking about is where in Greece they filmed the fucking car chase in the fucking flood control system. Okay.
Yeah, the drag race.
We used to go in that flood control system all the time. That's where the giant ants from the movie Them were. I used to go in there and look for those fucking ants.
Because you gotta keep that, gotta be vigilant.
We
about
knew all
giant
about
ants.
the fucking giant ants, and we went down in there with fucking homemade torches. I've told this story already, and it's also around the place where fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger jumped a fat boy off and fucking landed in there during Terminator 2.
Terminator 2,
yeah, that was the area where
That's a very famous area.
Yeah,
that's in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I never caught any crawfish, but for a time when I was younger, we lived in a house that had like this little strip of land that had like a little swamp area in it. Yeah. We had some bobcats and shit in the backyard, but me and my brother's favorite thing to do was catch big old buckets of tadpoles. Catch big old buckets, and then we'd raise them until they turned into frogs and be like, be free, little frogs. We didn't eat them.
We used to catch tadpoles down there too, take them home. And then every summer I'd go to because my parents were divorced. Every summer I'd fucking go down to Mississippi. So half my life, all the summers I spent in Mississippi, and then fucking I was in Detroit. And then I went to Mississippi, and then I lived in Mississippi, and Mississippi was some fucking wild shit, man. I went back there and I was just like, oh yeah, this is why I left. I forgot. But
yeah, you do forget, and then you go back.
But I tell you what, oh yeah, Biloxi and the Gulf Coast area is fucking evidently fucking off the chain now. Our friend Gia moved there. She loves it.
Oh, she moved to.
Biloxi.
I thought she went to because she went to New Orleans, right?
And then she went to Biloxi. She likes it. Biloxi's actually kind of better than New Orleans right now. The casino scene and everything, and it just built up. That Mississippi Gulf Coast is not what it used to be. A lot like Florida. No.
Interesting.
The South is not the same. The South rose again. We got fucking 4 space programs. We got all the car factories now. All the people are moving here.
Yeah, Sophie said we kept the cool animals we found, not killing them. Yeah. We had also we had hermit crabs. We had a whole big bucket of those. My brother caught a pygmy rattlesnake in our backyard. He tried to keep that for a pet, but my mom was like, "Yeah, no, might want to let that go in the woods because they're kind of poisonous." So you want to talk about the Queen Mary?
Yeah, let's talk about the Queen Mary. Let's go ahead and go.
All right. Man, I got like half a drink left. We're gonna be so fucking hammered by the end of this.
I'm just trying to catch up with the comments.
Yeah, I was actually out walking the other day, like on the Seminole Wakaiva Trail, and there had been a really big rainstorm like the night before, and like shit had flooded. There's this one house, these poor people that live in this house. I don't know, like why they don't move or whatever.
Hold on one second. But DJ Maniac, you got fucking dreadlocks. Talking about how beautiful her hair. I thought DJ Maniac was a guy. And I'm looking at I'm looking at the icon. It's actually a girl. I think.
We'll see. There you go.
I didn't know.
Can't assume you make an ass out of you and
yeah, that's right.
That's what they say.
And then Tila's talking about their hair. They're all talking about hair and shit.
Hair. Yeah. Yeah, so I was out for a walk the other day, and like this house, their backyard, every time it rains hard, it just floods, and there's like this big huge lake in their fucking backyard, and they have to pump it out every time. So it's like, and it really, really smells. And like, so I was going for a walk, and it was like just this big lake in their backyard, and like there was fucking sandhill cranes, it was cattle egrets, they're like, woohoo, new lake. And all across the path were thousands of teeny tiny little baby frogs, like trying to get to the other side, like I guess because there was another swamp over there, and they were all jumping. So I had to like kind of go like that, like to keep from stepping on them.
Maniac is a guy.
He is a guy.
He said he looks like Rob Zombie. Okay.
I look like Rob Zombie if you ordered him off of Wish. Oh my
That's
God.
fucking hilarious.
That really conjured a picture. This wasn't what I ordered. God
That's
damn
hilarious. I'm gonna give that motherfucker a star.
Oh my God, that's like
I'm
the
moving
funniest
you to the
thing.
top of the list,
That's
Maniac.
the funniest thing I've heard.
I'm moving you to the top of the list. That's like the shit I would say.
Oh my God.
I liked that one.
I did too. Everybody knows what you mean if you say that. You
I know exactly what
We've
you're
all
talking
been
about.
burned by Wish.
Yeah,
We know.
He put the image in my head.
All right. So today,
Friend of mine,
What?
army buddy of mine ordered some ballistic body armor off of Wish. It was a plate carrier with the fucking plate in it, and he showed it to me. It was a fucking sheet of plastic. It's like about that thick.
Every
It
now
was like
and
a
then,
little sheet of plastic. That was his ballistic.
Yeah.
Ballistic armor, bulletproof vest made of plastic.
every now and then I hear of somebody ordering something and it's fine,
Yeah.
but 99% of the time,
Yeah.
every time you order something off of Wish, they just like pull pictures from Google and put it on there. It doesn't have anything to do with what you were ordering. Nothing whatsoever.
No.
It's like, I think I've ordered one article of clothing off there and it was completely different than what I ordered.
Yeah,
so I was
it's
just,
fake.
but I mean, it was only like $5 or $6 or something. So I was just like, oh, well, lesson learned. And I just didn't order anything else off of there. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a reason why everything on there is so cheap. Just saying. But yeah, you might get lucky, but I wouldn't count on it. So, let's talk about the Queen Mary. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
You
Go
sure?
ahead. Yeah, I'm just checking out. Okay.
You sure?
Hey, I'm ready, man.
Okay.
I'm
As soon as
ready.
I start
I'm ready.
talking, as soon as
No.
I'm
I've hit my
about to
fucking
start
stride.
talking.
I've hit my fucking stride.
And then
I've hit my stride.
DJ Maniac said I ordered the Nicolas Cage tracksuit off of Wish. Only thing wrong with it was they used the wrong face. I wanted Nicolas Rage. You're on fire. You are on fire today. Tara says you will never get lucky. Do not do it. Yeah, I wouldn't advise it. I mean, one time out of 100, maybe you'll get something approximating what you ordered, but most of the time, it will
Where'd
be
Mango
nothing
Badger?
like
Is
that.
he in here? He must not be here.
I saw him earlier.
He is in here?
I saw him earlier.
I haven't seen any flash bulbs. Sometimes that motherfucker shit. This is the time of the month where fucking Mango Badger sends me some goddamn flash bulbs. I'm looking for money.
He has no shame. None whatsoever. Sophie says, does anyone else get bizarre Wish ads for ideas on social media, like things that look sexual, but you're not sure? I think I know what you're talking about. I think I got one today, actually, maybe on Facebook or Instagram or something, and I'm like looking at it going, what?
We almost.
I'm like, is that a vibrator?
We almost
Or-
keep getting to the. We almost keep getting to the Queen Mary, but we keep getting sidetracked, and I'm gonna sidetrack this motherfucker again. I'm gonna sidetrack.
I figured
again.
you were. That's why I didn't get to like. Far
There's a
into it.
Dan Dead Mall video where in the beginning he's got these people talking about the stimulator.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
And
about.
fucking she's going, the stimulation I get from this thing. And I'm going, what is that, a fucking vibrator? What is that thing, a little fucking pocket rocket?
Yeah,
You
she said
put it up on the
the
clit.
first time she used it,
First time yeah, and I'm going,
I was brought to tears. She
yeah,
said.
and I'm going, that must be a pocket rocket.
That's what I thought.
I used that shit on my first wife, a fucking pocket rocket. She loved that shit, okay?
That's what. Well, that's.
And
that's,
then
those
they
are
have
legit.
Evil Knievel come in. Going, the pocket rocket, the stimulator is a fucking this and that. And I'm going,
It's
what
called
the
a stimulator. I
I'm like,
mean,
what the fuck is a stimulator?
that's what I said. I was like, what is that?
It looked like a little damn D-cell battery. It looked like something you put on some chick's clit and just fucking vibrate the fuck out of it.
Right, that's what I
That's
yeah,
what it looked
that's
like.
what it looks
That's
like.
what you thought it was, right?
Yeah.
We looked it up. I looked that bitch up.
You looked it up and shit. I couldn't believe it.
I fucking started laughing.
Listen to this shit. This is
Okay.
hilarious.
First of all, that company got sued bigger than shit. The stimulator did not stimulate any kind of muscle healing or muscle growth.
They were
That's
making
what they were trying to tell you.
erroneous
They were
claims.
trying.
Sure.
All it was the ignition module out of a goddamn charcoal grill. You know, you press the button, it was click. click, and it sends a voltage.
Yeah.
To light the burners.
Like
that's all it was.
Yeah.
And as soon as I realized, yeah, that's exactly what that is. We've got a charcoal grill out there, and I looked underneath the bottom of it, and that's what it is. They just had
stimulates.
It just wasn't grill. In the damn charcoal grill. They had two little knobs on it where you could hold it between your fingers, and go, and it would shock you.
So it's like
that's all it was.
So it's like a low-key taser.
It's a taser.
Which you could use that on your clit, on your nipples if you're into that, but it's not gonna.
You wouldn't get off on that shit.
No.
No.
I don't think
now maybe
so.
if it was pulsing, but you couldn't pulse it fast
that's a
enough.
different thing.
You couldn't pulse it fast.
I can't believe we're talking about this.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I was like, that's even
shit.
lamer than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Because you know how for a long time you get like these old, like this is back in the fucking 70s and 80s. You get these catalogs from like fucking like mail order with like Finger Hut and shit like that. Like young people don't know what I'm talking about. But you used to get that, and they would have sex toys in the back. There were clearly sex toys, but you couldn't call them that because in some states, or at least back then, I don't know about now, like Alabama and shit like that, you couldn't technically sell like dildos or vibrators or stuff like it through the mail. So they had to call them something else. They had to call them like neck massagers, or they had to call them something else, but they were obviously vibrators. So I kind of thought that was the situation with these.
Yeah.
Even though they were small, but like you said, I thought it was like a pocket rocket.
Yeah. Those things were fucking fire, man.
Yeah, well.
They would took a lot of load off me back in the day. I didn't have to do
not as
much.
good as a rabbit, but rabbits are very, very expensive.
I had to take
at least a good one.
Yeah,
is.
good rabbit. They took a lot of load off of me with my first wife and shit. Fucking, I could sit back there and just take a break and just fucking.
Well, yeah,
like
you just hold it there.
Yeah. Anyway, Anyway, hold on. Michael said evil had game, and we're gonna have to do a show just about Evel Knievel.
We should probably.
I could fucking go on and on about Evel Knievel. I'm a big admirer of Evel Knievel. He was an imperfect man. You know what I mean? He had issues, but he was a fucking man. God damn it, he was. He was a fucking man. He's a man. He's a man. They don't make men like that anymore. That motherfucker was willing to die. He was willing to die to entertain you. He felt like he was a gladiator in an arena. You know what I mean? Betting with his life. And he was. He wouldn't use any safety equipment. Me just riding on my bikes, I wear full fucking body armor. Spinal protection, shin and knee. Better. All my shit. Jenny's knows. I fucking gone down.
I'm not feeding you baby food if you get fucking paralyzed.
I went down just at 70 miles an hour on my fucking bike. I was beat the fuck up, pissing blood.
Oh, now it's 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's about 70.
When it first happened several years ago, he told me he was going no faster than 40. And then as the years have gone on, the speed has gone up and up. And well, even back then, I knew he was going much faster than he told me he was going because he didn't want to tell me.
I was pissing blood and shit too. She couldn't get me out of my clothes.
Nope.
I
had to bring the day that it happened. Yeah. He called me at work because this was when I used to work. I was working at that stupid place that did like the fucking, like all the printing of all the shit.
Because I wrecked my shit too, man. I did.
Yeah, and he calls me at lunchtime, and I was like freaking out. I was like, "Do you need me to come home? Oh my god, are you all right?" and stuff. And he's like, "No, don't come home. I'm fine." Yeah. And I was like, "Are you fucking serious? Are you fine? Don't fuck with me like that." And I was like flipping out. Yeah. And then like I get home at like fucking. It was late because that place was fucking far away. I get home at like 6:30 or 7:30. He is laying on the bed.
Couldn't move, man. I was rock solid, just fucking so sore.
He told me I brought him McDonald's. I stopped at McDonald's on my way home from work and like brought him a Big Mac. Yeah. He couldn't even sit up to eat I had to put it like on his chest and like push it toward his mouth.
And it was like I had been tenderized, like meat tenderized.
Yeah,
and I was
and you had armor on.
I was wearing armor.
But you were like where the armor didn't, because the armor doesn't go all the way around.
Wherever I
it was
armored.
All like all his skin was gone. Like,
and it was like I'd been beaten up with a baseball bat. And I had fucking, that wasn't my only accident, you know what I mean? Fucking, I got my military pension because of motorcycle accidents.
Yeah, that wasn't even your worst
That wasn't even my worst one.
But it was pretty bad.
I am Evel Knievel. Me and Evel are very similar, I would say. Although, he's dumber than me. But braver. Yeah. That dude was braver. I wouldn't do that shit that he did. But that bitch was dumb.
Dumb and brave are two sides of the same coin.
He was making money, though. He was making a lot of money. No, he knew the risks.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something about the Snake Canyon jump. he pulled that chute too early. He had his hand on that damn chute release. He doesn't want to admit it, but everyone has theorized, why did that fucking chute come out? When he did the launch, he had his hand on the fucking chute release, and the G-force fucking caused him to pull the goddamn chute release, which caused him to foil the Snake Canyon jump in the rocket.
Yeah. Well.
And the guy that made the rocket said, don't put your hand on that fucking release.
And then he did the exact thing that they told him not to do.
So don't put your hand on that release.
That's dudes, man. They don't listen.
Well, I think what he thought is he thought he was going to black out under the G-force.
Which, that's a valid concern.
And that he wouldn't be awake to pull the fucking chute. But I think he did black out under the G-force, and it caused him to pull the fucking chute.
Right.
Which he would have come back alive. He would have come back awake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't that much G's.
Many G's.
It wasn't that many G's.
Too many stuff.
Too many stuff. Been drinking too much. Okay.
Fourth row down said, and this is why women live longer than men. That's true. And that's why if you read all the Darwin Awards books, it's 95% men. Because women just generally, they're like, no.
Tila's talking about
I like being alive too much.
Tila and Sophie are talking about lip enhancers and shit off of fucking Wish. Tila, you never did friend the show on Facebook. I said that, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't get a friend request.
You probably said it when I was lit.
Oh yeah. Never did get a friend request.
Thomas Super Dave. Oh my god, I remember Super Dave.
Super Dave was fucking cool, but
I like
Super Dave.
Dave.
No, I'm not Super Dave. I do.
He's not still around, is he?
No, but Super Dave really didn't do a whole lot of shit.
Well, his kind of whole thing was.
Yeah.
It was almost kind of like, I don't know if it was like a parody of Evel Knievel, but it kind of, wasn't it? Like a low-key parody of Evel Knievel?
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe.
I used
to watch it.
Evel Knievel has not been beaten to this day. Yeah. He just hasn't. He was making huge jumps on a fucking Harley Sportster, which that was never designed to be in the air. Dudes that are doing these big jumps now, they're on fucking dirt bikes.
Yeah.
They were meant to be in the air.
Yeah, that's
they're meant for
that
shit.
For.
He was on a Harley fucking Sportster, which is shitty. You know what I mean? That's a death trap. To be in the air. It's okay on the ground, but to be in the air, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, real crazy.
Well, you'd have to be to do that kind of shit.
Jumping all those buses with something that today would just be that's not even close to a sport bike, not even close. And he was doing it. That motherfucker had serious balls. And he wouldn't wear any damn armor. An engineer came up and says, look, man, I got all this new stuff. I can armor you to where...
Armor's for pussies.
Yeah, that's what he said. He says, well, then the danger isn't there and the suspense.
And no one will watch it.
No one will watch. That's what he said. He says, it's got to be...
They want to see my body get broken.
Well, he said they want to see me die.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And I think he was right.
I think that's why most people watch shit like NASCAR and stuff like that, too. It's like... Yeah. They're like, well, oh man, no one crashed. Fuck that.
No, but they were gonna. They had a dude that was, and the dude that they were talking about was talking about he didn't develop Kevlar, but he knew how to turn Kevlar into armor.
Right.
And he was gonna make him a Kevlar armored reinforced fucking racing suit, which shit, that's what I would have wore. But fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd still get busted up, but chances are you'd live. There are some famous slow motion shots of fucking Evil hitting the fucking ground in that leather suit.
And all his limbs are
just crumpling up and rolling in slow motion.
in all directions.
At just about every goddamn bone broken in his body.
I can't even watch that shit. It's just like, oh.
And then then a year later did it again.
Yeah.
He was just fucking crazy. He was crazy, but I respect him. I respected Evil.
Yeah.
Just a mean redneck. Somebody wrote some bad shit about him, cheating on his wife, so what does he do? Beat that motherfucker up with a baseball bat. Go to prison for it. Evil made it clear that if you said some shit about him, he'd take a baseball bat to you. And you guess what? They never wrote any shit about him again. It does work. If you're willing to that kind of shit does work. You just got to be willing to go to jail. Yeah.
All right, we are now 1 hour and 4 minutes in.
It's time to do the show. Okay, pre-show's
It's time
done.
to do the show.
We see, look. I know other channels that'll just let it run on a screensaver for an hour until everybody shows up. At least we're entertaining for that hour.
That's true.
You know what I'm talking about?
Dance, monkeys dance. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. This is free entertainment.
It is.
Until you pay me some money. Then it's not free.
But even so, I mean, people pay for like fucking. You pay for internet access. You pay for Shudder. You pay for Netflix. You pay for all that kind of stuff.
Oh man.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Don't wear out already. It's only
I'm ready
we
to go.
haven't even got to the
ready
fucking
to go.
topic
I'm fucking
yet.
ready to go.
You gotta talk about some ghosts. You gotta talk about some fucking ghosts. You gotta talk about
I'm
Long
ready
Beach.
to talk about ghosts.
You gotta talk about World War II.
Okay.
God, there's all kind of
I
fun
saw
shit
the
we
Queen
can talk
Mary.
about.
I saw the Queen Mary. I remember that bitch.
It's a big
I know
ass
right
ship.
where it is.
Yeah.
I've been on it.
Still there. It's a hotel kind of, and you can go there like paranormal groups and stuff.
Yeah.
Although I've heard that it's not a real big moneymaker, but I guess like the city owns it or the county owns it, and they just kind of like run it as a museum and hotel and whatnot.
There's a place my mom took me to when I was a little kid where you can walk across the thing and there's like, it's somehow underwater. I don't remember exactly how it went. You can look over the side of the boat at a display of a diver underneath the water and you can see him there. It scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's enclosed, but it's also has something to do with under the water. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It was scary.
When they converted the boat from a boat to like
it's like a hotel.
A hotel.
Yeah.
They actually took out 3 of the 4 propellers,
Yeah.
but they left the one propeller. I think it's made of bronze, and it's really, really big. And they left it there, and they kind of cut a hole in the hull so you could see it better. And
That's what
then,
it
like,
was.
Put a thing
That's
around
what
it,
it was.
so people could like go and they made a walkway so you could go and look at the propeller.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Because they're just showing you like, look at this big fucking propeller.
Yeah, and during the time, that's right.
These.
Huge propeller underneath the water.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was spooky with lights shining on it.
I've seen pictures of it.
And then they had a fake diver with, with the old fucking diving bell type helmet. And and he's there next to it with fucking bubbles coming out of his fucking helmet, But it's not a real man, but it's just to give you scale. So you know how big that fucking propeller is.
Yeah.
And it scared the shit out of me. As a little kid, I was like, oh, I didn't want to. You know how when you look in the water, the dark black water and under the water.
Yeah, fuck that. I still have nightmares like that.
Nightmares of being underneath the ocean and the whale goes by.
And
the eye goes by. And
right, just like the fucking shit at Disney World.
That's what
20,000 leagues.
20,000 leagues under the sea.
Even though you're like literally like 3 inches under the water, that ride's not there anymore.
It seemed like you were deep underneath the water.
But once you were like, it seemed like you were underwater because it made it feel like, oh, we're going so deep. Yes. And then like you go and then there was like a big fucking squid eye and you're like, oh, that used to like
inspired me.
But I loved that ride. I wanted, even though it scared the crap out of me, I wanted to go on it like over and over.
It inspired many nightmares in me.
Me too.
Being underneath the goddamn water, and that thing in the Queen Mary was, I think even scarier because it was bigger.
Well, and it should be said too that propeller, perhaps. Maybe really cut up some people.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know if it was that one in particular, but it's likely.
Just says, is there a movie on Evel Knievel? Yeah, there is. There's a whole there was a History Channel documentary.
Has there been like a fictionalized movie about him?
I don't know. Maybe, but I recommend
not like a real big
the
like,
History Channel documentary. I think it's called Being Evil. Now it's not evil; it's EVEL, Being Evil. And that was a good one. There was a real good documentary about it. And it's probably up. It's probably up on YouTube. You can watch it for free.
Green Dust says, "Where is the Queen Mary ship? It is actually in Long Beach, California, at the moment. It was built in Scotland originally, but it's in Long Beach now. And you can go and stay there. It's a hotel, as far as I know. You can still stay there because, like I said, the Queen Mary is kind of considered one of the most haunted locations in the U.S. So tons of like ghost hunters have been there, like psychics, paranormal, like all ghost hunter groups. And they have like a tour called the Ghosts and Legends tour. I watched earlier, somebody on YouTube had put up like a 3-part, like they went through the Ghosts and Legends tour, like on the Queen Mary. I don't know, it was like a few years ago, and they put it up on YouTube in like 3 parts. So that was kind of interesting, like hearing the guy talking about all the shit. But the thing about it though is that one thing I didn't know was that the Queen Mary was actually owned by Disney for a time, like in the 70s and 80s, I think until 1992. And they kind of wanted to make it, I think they were the ones that brought the Spruce Goose there, if I'm not mistaken. Just because a lot of people weren't staying at the Queen Mary and they were like, well, we need something else. Like, so we need this whole, like, complex so people will come to it. So they put the Spruce Goose there. And then they kind of, like, amped up the ghost story shit in the Queen Mary and added like special effects and like all these kind of like music and like sound effects and shit like that in the
Green
background.
Dust asks, where is the Queen Mary?
I already answered.
It's in Long Beach, California.
Yeah, it's in Long Beach, California.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's talk a little bit. Okay, so the RMS Queen Mary, RMS standing for Royal Mail Service, which is what they called those particular ships at the time. So this was a ship that was much bigger, much faster than the Titanic. It was 1,000 feet long, more give or take, you know. So it was built in, well, it started to be built in 1930 at the John Brown Shipyard in Clyde, Scotland. Now, between 1931 and 1934, because of the Depression, they actually like held off on building it for, you know, those 3 years. But then afterward, they got back on it and finished it up. It made its maiden voyage on May 27th, 1936. Now, for the next 3 years, the Queen Mary was kind of considered the creme de la creme of... oh, thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Of, like, you know, transatlantic travel. Because it was... I mean, it was a luxury liner in every fucking sense of the word. There was a first class, a second class, and third class. But one of the things about the Queen Mary that was interesting was that even if you were like in third class, like if you're one of the plebes, you still got really, really good service. You didn't get all the good shit that the first class passengers got, obviously, but you didn't get like stuck down in a broom closet either. Like you actually did get a really nice like experience. And the ship kind of got known for being this really nice way to travel like across the ocean. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like I said, they kitted it out with art deco. Like it had fucking 2 swimming pools. It had like theaters. It had like it was fucking fabulous. Right?
Yeah.
All the best shit. They had all these celebrities that would, you know, go back and forth across, do the transatlantic crossing. You got Duke and Duchess of Windsor at the time, Clark Gable, Greta Garbo, Mary Pickford, George Gershwin, Ira Gershwin, and Sir Winston Churchill, who every time that he had to go across the Atlantic, he always went on the Queen Mary, and he had his own little office on there. I believe his desk is still there. And he's supposed to still haunt the place nowadays. Like, people say they can still smell his cigar smoke, and like he's been seen a couple of times. I don't know if I believe that or not, but like some people have said that they've like either seen him or heard him like mumbling, because he actually signed the whole order like for D-Day on the Queen Mary. But he was like, reportedly, he was like real upset about it. He's like, oh man, all these people are going to die and shit like that, but we need to do it because, you know. And he was like real conflicted about it. So some people have said that, oh, well, that like made such an impression that it kind of like leached into the ship and like it's still there. So like I said, for 3 years, it was like this real big luxury liner. Went back and forth many times, you know, from England to New York. Now... Then World War II breaks out. And just like everything else, no one was traveling luxury liner anywhere because everyone was like focused on the war effort.
Am I making it a drink?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that one's kind of bottoming out.
I'll make you one with apple juice. How about that?
Okay, yeah, we're out of orange juice. Woo. Oh, what'd you do? Okay. I don't know what he's doing. He'd make like a weird noise over there. So, at this stage, the Queen Mary... And she also had a sister ship, the Queen Elizabeth. They basically were like, okay, well, we need to make this ship into a transport. So they pull it off the luxury liner circuit, if you want to call it that. And they pull out, like, all the nice luxury shit. They take out all the fucking everything that's, like, nice about the ship. And they basically make it into, you know, something more suited to... carrying troops across. They build like hospitals on there. They build like all kind of like troop like bunks and rooms and everything. And they painted the outside gray. At this point, it became known as the Gray Ghost. So originally the capacity, when it was a luxury ship, the capacity of the ship was actually 2,410 But during this time, when they were making it like troop transport, they upped the capacity to 5,500. So they made like a lot of rooms with like, thank you.
See how that tastes.
With like double-decker bunks and shit like that. So more troops could like be on board the ship. Now, what ended up happening? So the Queen Mary actually went back and forth across the Atlantic many times during World War II. Now, the ship was actually very, very fast. And normally when it crossed the ocean, it was so fast and it would usually swim like in kind of a, it would usually like go in like a zigzag formation to keep from like attracting the attention of the U-boats. It also had like degaussing and stuff like that on the deck, as most ships did at the time. So they couldn't be seen. So it would kind of like go back and forth many times and evaded U-boats. However, there was one really, really terrible thing that happened in 1942, which a lot of people point to as saying maybe this is one of the reasons why the ship is purportedly so haunted. Now, in October of 1942, even though the Queen Mary usually traveled without escorts, sometimes it had some other boats that were escorting it. Now, like I said, she would kind of go zigzag to avoid U-boats, and so the ships like accompanying her would also have to zigzag. But the problem was that the ships going alongside were usually not as fast and perhaps not as quick to react, like to whichever way the Queen Mary was zigging or zagging at the time. So there was this ship called the HMS Curacoa. Now I've also seen it called the Curacao. I'm not sure which one is correct, but I'm going with the majority on this one that say Curacoa. Just like that's on the Wikipedia page, that's on like the BBC page, that's on the World War II history page, so whatever.
I let one cat out. Pookie's still in the little bowl.
Is she really?
Still
She's
in the bowl.
not usually sleeping at this time of day.
Well, she's awake, but she's just sitting in a damn bowl.
She's just like,
I can't believe she's
maybe
not
she feels lazy today.
She gotta be, because she should be asking me to go out.
Yeah, she usually likes to go outside
At
when it
this
gets
hour,
dark.
yeah.
Maybe it's too warm for her.
It just got dark. I don't know what the deal is. Just giving you guys a Pookie update. That's a Pookie update. That's what she's doing.
Yeah, like I said, usually once it gets dark, she's like, whoa.
She's like, it's time to go outside.
It's time. I gotta go kill some frogs.
Yeah.
She didn't kill them. She just like
Tries to.
She tries to, but they're just like, nope. You remember that? Do you remember that time? This is apropos of nothing, but do you remember that time that Beijing was trying to catch a frog, and that it jumped on like the back of like one of the outside chairs, like on the porch, and then it jumped like on her butt or like on her flank.
Yeah.
And she didn't know where it went to. She was so confused. She was like looking around, going, "There was a frog right here. What the hell?"
That was the second time. The first time, remember when the frog jumped on her when we first moved here and she screamed and ran?
Well, that too.
Yeah, that was funny too.
But the second time, I was thinking of the second time where the frog like jumped on the chair and then it jumped like on. I was like, wow, that's a pretty smart frog. And she was just like, where the fuck did the frog go? She didn't know that it jumped on her.
Yeah,
and the frog was like, shh.
Florida's filled with these little green tree frogs.
Little tree frogs.
Little tree frogs. They jump around on you. They look like little geckos, like that little thing from Geico. That's what they look like. Big eyes, a little body.
They're super cute.
And if they get in, they die.
Because
air conditioning dries
it
them right
dries them out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Which is why we just could every time, like, if you can tell though, because Pookie thinks she's slick and everything, but if she comes in off the porch and you let her in and she immediately goes, "What? I don't have any pshing," and she like runs into the living room, then you know that she probably has something like hidden in her mouth. Yeah. And you have to like run after her and go, "What do you have?" And you have to like open her mouth like that. And she's got a lizard or a frog in there. But you'd be like, "What? I brought it in to play with." But yeah. So, all right. So this escort ship, the Curacoa, is zigzagging alongside the Queen Mary, which obviously is many times larger. Now, no one is quite sure. Later, when they did like all the investigation and everything, they determined that the captain of the Queen Mary was not at fault, and that maybe the captain of the Curacoa maybe was, because they weren't really looking. Because whatever the reason, they were too close to the Queen Mary. They were way closer than they should have been. Whether it was because people were like, "Oh, we need to take pictures because the ship is so big," which is something that some people have put forward, or whether they were just too close because they didn't know what they were doing. What ended up happening was that this little, much smaller ship was essentially cut in half by the Queen Mary. And the Queen Mary just kept on trucking because there's nothing you can do at that point. I mean, that's kind of like, because basically I think the rule was that, look, we're in the Atlantic Ocean. There's German U-boats like all around, like looking for us. We can't like dick around and like wait and like rescue people that we hit. Like we just have to keep going because we don't want to get, so
it's not worth the risk.
But that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
So so it was shitty, but it's like,
no, it's
they basically cut this ship in half and then just kept on going. And many of the dudes, 337 guys on the Curacoa were killed. Yeah. They either drowned or they were chopped up by the propellers or something.
Well, stopping wouldn't have helped. They would have died anyway, most
That's, well, and that's what they were saying. Yeah. It's terrible, but that's...
Like, maybe a couple of them would have made it, but...
I mean, some of them did live,
and depending on how
but
cold
not many.
It depends on how cold the water is. You'd be dead in 15 minutes, and it might take 30 minutes to damn fucking slow the ship down and come back and get you. So you'd be dead during that time.
I mean, it seems
cold-hearted, but you got to understand what numbers mean.
Yeah.
All right. It was the water cold?
Well, it was the North Atlantic.
Oh, so North Atlantic? You're dead within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, no. If you're in the water... You're dead.
And it was wartime,
In wartime, you're dead. By the time it takes that boat to come back and get you, you'd be long dead. By about 20 minutes.
Well, and that's kind of the calculation that they were making. No one was happy about it, obviously.
So they had
it was a terrible accident.
So they had a standing order. If somebody goes over or if fucking you hit something...
You keep going.
That's
what they said.
You can't help them.
You can't.
Can't help them.
And that's the thing. It's unfortunate, but... them's the breaks, like I said.
Yeah, and if you're in a dinghy, somebody else can come get your ass.
Yeah.
But
I'm not sure entirely. I mean, the HMS Curacoa was not a tiny boat, but it was many times smaller than the Queen Mary was, obviously.
Yeah.
It was supposedly an escort boat. And like I said, I think the investigation afterward proved that it was essentially the Curacoa's fault. You know, if anyone could be faulted, just because they were too close to the larger ship. They shouldn't have been that close to it. So what
do we got down here in the comment section? We must have some ex-seamen or something down there talking about the virtues of zigzag or serpentine.
Well, I was talking about that earlier because that was like a way that they would avoid the U-boats.
They seem to know what this is. I don't know. Maybe these are Navy guys.
It's zigzagging.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. So, well, and I talked about it earlier.
There you go.
But so I was reading this
How's
one.
that drink? Is that good?
Yeah, it's delicious.
I'm going to put some tequila in apple juice in a bit.
That'll probably work out. As soon as I get done with
that, yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to see what it's like.
Yeah.
I've never done it. I'll have to give that a name. We'll put that in the cookbook. And the cookbook is coming along.
I'm on page... I mean, I'm doing all the layouts. I'm doing 10 pages of layouts a day.
You're right.
Is what
and
is my goal.
Then we'll go back and we'll start...
I actually did 12 pages today, so...
Yeah. She tried to get me on a dry run and start talking about recipes and fucking it's not good like that. I have to have a visual representation of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And what the mood is and what the background should be, you know what I mean? And I'll get more in the mood and I can make some commentary and we can tweak some of those recipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the recipes are all going to be pretty standard. There's a couple little modifications I'll make. It's going to be a cool book. You guys are going to like it.
I think it's going to look nice.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm happy with that.
Jenny's doing most of the heavy lifting, though. She's one putting the superstructure into that damn
We
book.
probably need some better pictures of a few things, but other than that...
It's going to be good. I think
it'll look nice.
I saw a vegan black metal chef's book and fucking... Get that down, Jenny. Show them vegan black metal chef.
Get it.
Okay.
I can't. My legs are asleep.
Oh, shit. Goddamn, I'm kicking shit. Which one is it?
It's the one that's kind of sticking out already.
This one? No, this one?
This one. Yeah, it's that one.
It's going to be... The quality's going to be about like that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm making it a hardback, too.
Yeah, it's going to be a hardback. Okay.
But yeah.
But this is the other one that she did. This is a great cookbook.
That's vegan black metal chef.
Yeah. So we're talking, you know, we're fucking, we know what we're doing. All right. And Jenny's the shit.
We know what we're doing.
You know we're doing Jenny's the shit. It's going to be really good.
I mean, most of the time, I at least pretend like I know what I'm doing.
You know what you're doing. She used to work for some of the biggest fucking liquor companies in the goddamn world doing all their fucking graphic design. Okay? She knows what she's doing.
That was one of the best jobs I ever had.
Yeah.
They had a bar in the office.
Bitch a genius.
I am, thank you.
Bitch a genius at what what you do. You're not a genius at what I do. What I do is...
You're only a genius at, like, what you're... Other than that, you're a dumbass.
No, I'm not saying that.
I know.
I'm not saying that. What are you talking about? I'm trying to fucking put on a goddamn show. This is entertainment. We got people working, and I'm entertaining working people and stuff, and then people laying around in their bedrooms drinking, and it's Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday. It feels like...
We're laying around... Well, this isn't our bedroom. This is our office.
This is the office. We're in the studio. The office is the studio.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna change some shit back here. You guys are gonna like it. You're gonna see.
He's gonna rearrange.
I'm gonna rearrange some shit. We'll bring my robots down. I got some really fucking cool robots. Some of them, my friend made some of them, who owns a company called HL Pro out in Japan. I'm gonna bring them down here, fucking, and I'm gonna set up something here for Jenny. We're gonna redo a little bit of the lighting. I think I'm gonna redo some of that. We're gonna see. Remember that fucking some of those effects? We're gonna get some effects in here, I think. Like the one that I put in the bedroom. I put some sexy ass lighting in the bedroom.
It is pretty sexy. It's green and blue.
Green and blue lights.
And it's like it's almost like a water shimmering. Kind of like if you you know what I mean? Like if you if you have like a indoor pool.
It looks like that.
Like at night, it looks kind of like that.
It looks like that. It shines up on the fucking
on the ceiling.
Yeah, kind of like out of
nice.
Kind of like out of that fucking sequel to Blade Runner.
Yeah, there you go.
Fucking Wallace's fucking room. Remember he had all that damn fucking water reflections. Shit,
it's
sexy
nice.
as fuck.
Well, it's very like relaxing.
Yeah.
Because it's like nature, kind of.
Yeah. Nature inside the house.
It's nature inside the house.
Yeah.
It's like plants, but you don't have to water it.
Yeah.
So that shitty thing happened.
Rebecca Dunn says she's working, and it's Sunday morning where she's at, and she's entertained. That's
see, there you go. That's all we're trying
Michael
to do.
Schaefer says, I'm in my garage getting ready to play some Tecmo Super Bowl 1968 season. I don't know what that is. That must be some kind of video game.
Tecmo.
Sounds like.
I don't remember that.
I don't know what it is.
Tila says we're in our living room watching on the big screen TV. Oh my god.
Oh shit.
Please don't look at me on the big screen TV. No, like that.
That must be Tila and her husband, because I think she was saying she's married.
You can see all my pores and stuff. Ew.
Yeah.
You're like, look at my nose. Oh, I'm not into it. But yeah, so the disaster with the Karakoa is supposedly so that's why some people have reported, and like I said, allegedly some people have reported being on the ship, or it's not really a ship anymore technically, and hearing a bunch of people, a bunch of dudes screaming and a bunch of scraping sounds and stuff like that. So some people have said that that's, even though it didn't technically happen on the ship, but the ship caused all those people to die. So that's another thing that a lot of people have reported, because some people, now what I've read, because I read a book earlier today called Ghosts of the Queen Mary, the Haunted America series, which actually, if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free as an ebook to read. Just a pro tip if you want to read it. I read it last night and this morning, and they were talking about how some people had heard this noise, heard all these people screaming and heard all the scraping and stuff like that, so vividly that they thought the ship was sinking, even though it's not a ship anymore. So they thought the hotel was sinking into the harbor, I guess, because it was so vivid. But like I said, I'm making no claims to the reality of any of this stuff. A lot of people have reported supernatural shit on here, but I'm not. I'm not taking a stance on that one way or the other, because I've never been there. I don't know, so I'm not saying. You've been there. Yeah. Did you feel anything weird when you were in there? No.
Well, I was a little kid.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what year that was. 78, probably 78. So I was about 9.
Yeah.
And it was overwhelming because everything seems very big.
It's huge ship.
And
it's massive.
Inside it, like you said, it was kind of like just a hotel.
Yeah.
But when
there's shops and restaurants and stuff.
Yeah, shops, and almost kind of like a mall. Right. But then when I went out along that walkway where you had the enclosed area and saw the fucking propeller, that fucking scared me. It was fucking huge.
I can see that. That would scare me too.
Yeah.
Because anything
it was like something out of Disneyland.
Because like I said, anything like that.
Yeah. You're not underwater, but you're looking into the water.
Right. Yeah, because they wanted it so you could see the propeller.
Right. And you can see the propeller. The water's very still, so you can see into the water, and you can see the bottom of the fucking... You can see the ground.
Of the harbor.
Of the harbor.
Yeah.
And that was pretty fucking spooky. It was enclosed, so you can't see the sky. It's black. It's dark.
Yeah.
But then it's lit underneath the water on the damn pillar. And it's just kind of, when you're a kid, very eerie and overwhelming. That propeller's huge, and it's underneath the water. And they got a little fake man who's man size in the damn diver outfit next to that propeller. And it just... I saw a photograph of it online. You guys can look it up. It's out there.
That would have scared me too, I'm telling you.
And it didn't look as impressive in the photo. But when you're 8, 9 years old...
Yeah, when you're a little kid, that would absolutely have scared the shit out of me.
And along the lines of, like you said, something out of Disneyland, like out of that fucking underwater ride.
Well, and Disney owned it for a while.
Oh, they did? Okay. All right.
So they added some... Because originally, like in the 70s... They actually had plans to kind of build like a whole ocean-themed like theme park around it. But it ended up that they were just kind of like, they thought it wasn't economically viable, so they said fuck it, and then like Long Beach ended up buying it up or like maintaining it.
Well, you could
But Disney did own it for a while.
You could go out there.
They had the lease, rather.
It smelled like salt water and it was cold. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It had that ocean smell. But I don't think it was open to the ocean. I think it had a wall that went all the way down to the bottom of the dock. I'm not sure. Been a long time.
Yeah. I mean, something like that. Like I said, that would have freaked me out. That fucking ride at Disney World, because I grew up in Florida. That's Disney World. Not Disneyland. That was California. The 20,000 Leagues ride, that used to scare me.
Yeah.
And you know what else used to scare me? Even though it used to scare me, but I was fascinated by it nonetheless, because I like things that are scary. I had this book that I think my grandfather gave it to me because I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger. And he gave me this book called The Fishes. I might still have it someplace. It might be in the attic. And it had, there was one picture in particular that really scared me. It was a sand shark, but it was like a close-up of its face. And I don't know if you guys know, like sand sharks, and I've seen them in real life because there's a lot of them, like off of the shore of Daytona Beach where I grew up, and I used to go to the beach all the time. And, I've seen like little ones like around my legs and stuff. But they're not super aggressive, but they have these teeth that are like they're all fucked up. They're like kind of like all crooked, and they're all like, so they look horrifying. And there was a picture of one that was like a close-up. And every time like I went through that book, like I knew what page it was on, and I would like go to the page and I'd just be like, oh, I don't want to turn, oh my God. And I would like freak out. Also, there was another thing where they had these pages that would all fold out, and it showed like the different levels of like all the different types of fish that were at different like depths of oceans and rivers and whatnot. And when you would get to like the bottom part, like the very deepest part of the ocean, it had all those fucked up looking fish like anglerfish and all those ones that had like all the bioluminescence and all that shit hanging off their heads, and they were all like super ugly and everything. That page really freaked me out as well. Mm. But I was like obsessed with it at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like anybody that's like into horror or anything like that, you get that. It's like it's scary and you don't want to look at it, but then you kind of still do. Yeah. So it was kind of like that kind of thing.
Hey, I just want to ask a question. I don't know if Jair is out there, also known as Khan of Vatslan.
I thought I saw his name earlier.
I got to consult with Mexico. I'm putting a shout out to Mexico.
He's consulting with Mexico.
Consulting with Mexico about tequila. Does tequila and apple juice work together? Go ahead and come back with me. All right, Jenny, go ahead.
He wants to know because he's going to make that next if it does.
To fucking drop a shot.
Green Dust says, a jellyfish wrapped around my area as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, shit.
My balls were stung, 1987.
It reminds me of that movie, The Island. Oh. When they put that jellyfish on that little skinny girl. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Tila, did you see The Island? Because she was asking about that.
Oh,
remember that? I don't know if you saw The Island with Michael Caine. That shit was fucking fire, man. Michael Caine, the dude that's one drink away from whipping your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude was fucking scary. He scared me my whole fucking life as a kid. I thought he was going to whip my ass. Him and that other British dude.
Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed was about ready
well, like
to
I
whip
said,
your ass too.
if we had our druthers, we could go back in time.
I was intimidated.
And buy both Oliver Reed and Michael Caine several drinks and then have them fight each other.
Yeah. The thing is about Oliver Reed is, by all accounts, charming dude and fun to drink with, and got into a lot of trouble and shit, but was fun.
He did get into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he got a lot of. He was the kind of dude that get drunk down in L.A., take his clothes off, fucking walk down the street.
See, I don't have a problem with dudes like that.
He would do shit like that.
That's fine.
And popular with the ladies, evidently.
You're having a good time. You're not hurting anybody.
No.
You know.
He was out of control, though.
As long as you're not going around grabbing people's titties or like grabbing, it's like, as long as you're not, you just go, walk down the street.
That was the 70s, though. You could do that.
Fine.
If you were fucking Michael Reed, or if you were Reed or Michael Caine.
Michael Reed.
Yeah,
the Oliver Reed, Michael Caine crossover.
You can fucking grab all the titties.
Now they've become one large
Michael
entity.
Reed. I'm gonna call the bitch Michael Reed. We're gonna get a fucking computer program to merge those two faces together and make a shirt called Michael Reed Grabbing Pussy. That's gonna be the name of it. Because back in the 70s, being one of those two dudes, you probably could. The way the 70s was.
Yeah, I guess.
Down in L.A. I think those dudes are popular.
Popular.
Yeah, I think they were very popular. They were bad men, man. Fucking these women like bad men.
To a degree.
Yeah, I think they did. Especially when they got money and they're on fucking the silver screen back in the 70s.
Yeah.
I think they did.
Like I said, to a degree.
I think those dudes were very popular.
Yeah, Rebecca says we have this box jellyfish. And I remember growing up in Daytona, every now and then you would go down to the beach and there'd be like a whole bunch of like dead jellyfish, like all over, or dead or dying jellyfish, like all over the sand. And like I always remember my mom being like, don't touch them, because like a lot of them are still alive or they can still sting you and shit like that, which like used to fucking freak me out. The ones that were all like bubbly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eek. Horrifying.
Tila
smelled like really bad.
Tila said they're gonna watch The Island. They rewatched Conan. They loved it. Yeah, fucking Conan. I don't know, Tila. Did you check? Did you see all those fucking messages that John Milius was fucking giving you about the Riddle of Steel and fucking? I'm gonna tell you the secret to the Riddle of Steel. Okay, I don't know if you're ready for this.
While you're doing that, can I pee?
Well, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna fucking tell you guys the Riddle of Steel. All right. Conan's dad shows him the sword and says the fucking Crom wanted us to figure out the fucking Riddle of Steel, and this here you can trust. You can trust this sword. But later on, that sword breaks. You can't trust that sword. Then later on, after that, you got fucking Mississippi motherfucker, of course, you know, James Earl Jones, okay? Afro-Irish motherfucker that he is, okay? He comes out in the form of Thulsa Doom and says, yeah, I know all about the Riddle of Steel, you know. You want to know it, don't you, boy? And he goes, let me tell you the Riddle of Steel. Because steel isn't strong, flesh is strong. And then he fucking, the girl jumps. And he goes, that's the Riddle of Steel. They were both wrong. Later on, Conan takes that broken sword and cuts his head off, so even a broken sword can cut flesh. All right. So what was the Riddle of Steel? The Riddle of Steel was this. Weapons are not strong. They will fail you. Flesh is not strong. That will also fail you. What is strong is will. The will to act. You could be the baddest motherfucker in the world with the best weapons in the world. If you don't do anything, then you ain't shit. You gotta do something. That's the answer to the Riddle of Steel. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, that was good timing.
Yeah.
Pookie is still in the bowl. She's sitting in there like looking at me with one paw hanging out like, hey.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's being weird today. Yeah. All right. So World War II ends. During the war, the ship had carried more than 800,000 troops. There's a great picture, if you Google it, of the Queen Mary with like, I don't even know how many troops it is, but it's just like people just covering like the top 3 decks. There were like so many people. And also, they also transported like prisoners of war. There's like all kind of shit going on the ship. Like I said, it had a big, it had a big role in like D-Day. It was pretty much every major thing that happened, like in the Allied campaign of World War II. Like the Queen Mary was somehow involved in all of that because it was like the largest ship, the fastest ship at the time, and it could transport the most troops. So it was used like a lot, and it went back and forth, could evade U-boats, never got attacked, never had to shoot their guns, never had to do anything. Also at that point, it had set the record for carrying the most people ever on a floating vessel, which was 16,683 people. So that's how big this fucking boat is. After the war ended, they actually used it to transport war brides back from, because like all the troops that had like married, American servicemen, like Europeans that had married American servicemen. So all of the brides and the babies, like 22,000 of them, they brought them back to the US and Canada, like on the ship. So that was kind of like, that was 13 voyages, I think, like doing that, like going back and forth with the war brides. Now, at that stage, the luxury liner, they decided to like bring that back to the fore. So they take it back to dry dock. They put all the nice shit back in it, refurbish it back, which kills me, like how much money that must have cost. Like they fixed it back all up. All the stuff that they pulled out of it before, like prior to the war, had been, it was in storage. So they put it all back in there. All the nice like dining rooms, all the Art Deco shit, they put all that back in there. So in summer of 1947, they started doing a weekly service that went between Southampton, England, Cherbourg, France, and New York City. And it did that for a while until the early 1960s. Now, by the time the early 1960s rolled around, because air travel had become so much more affordable for the regular person, luxury ship travel was no longer a thing, or not as much of a thing. So they were finding themselves, the Queen Mary was kind of finding themselves, they were still going back and forth across the Atlantic, but they weren't getting like capacity. Sometimes they'd only have like a couple hundred people in there instead of a few thousand. And it was getting to the point where they knew that, the end was near because they weren't getting enough passengers to like justify like all the cost and everything, because it just wasn't, people were flying, they weren't really taking ships like they used to. So they decided for a little while that they were going to start turning into like a cruise ship. So in 1963, they started going to like the Bahamas, the Canary Islands, stuff like that. But the problem was that the Queen Mary had been built in the 1930s, and it was built specifically for the North Atlantic. So it didn't have air conditioning. It didn't have particularly good ventilation. So when it was going to warmer climates like the Bahamas and whatnot, people that were on the ship were a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Yeah. It didn't have like any outdoor pools. It has pools, but they're all like enclosed. It didn't have, how like cruise ships nowadays have like the big outdoor decks with the pools on them. It didn't have that. So it couldn't really compete with newer cruise ships that were coming out that had like all the amenities. So basically they were just like bleeding customers at this point. So 1967, they withdrew the ship from service. Now, that same year, she got sold to the city of Long Beach, California for $3.45 million. There was an auction because they were kind of like, well, essentially, at first I think they were going to like put her out for scrap. But then there was kind of like some just like, oh, maybe we should turn it into a museum, or we should do something else. So Long Beach, California ended up winning the auction, and they got the ship there. Now, initially, they were like, okay, well, we can either do like a final journey to Long Beach, like a final cruise there, like with passengers to kind of pay for the transport to Long Beach, or you guys have to pay like the transportation costs to get there, like with no passengers on there. There still has to be a crew, obviously, and the crew all have to get paid. So they opted to go the passenger route. Now, the last voyage that they did was a little bit of a shit show. It kind of ended up going, because they had to go around Cape Horn, and like I said, it wasn't really equipped to deal with hot weather, because it was a North Atlantic ship, largely. So all of the passengers that were on the final journey were kind of like pissing and moaning about how hot it was. Several people had heat-related illnesses, heat stroke, things like that. One dude died from heat stroke, actually, one of the cooks in the kitchen. He ended up dying. Several people, like, because it had several ports, like it went to, I think it went to Las Palmas, it went to, a couple of, went to Chile somewhere, like on the way around. And people kept getting off, like at every stop. Like the richer passengers were like, fuck this, we're going to like an air-conditioned hotel, like we're not putting up with this crap. Like some people got off, and then like later they told the media, oh, the ship was full of rats and roaches and stuff like that, which they didn't actually find any evidence of, so it might have just been, I don't know, people complaining, like people that give shitty Yelp reviews nowadays. But, it just wasn't a real good experience. And the media kind of like, I'm not saying the media jumped on it, but they were just kind of like, oh, here she comes, like, into Long Beach, and it's like her final voyage. It's like a voyage of shame, because everyone was like pissing and moaning about how hot it was, and they couldn't like fucking take it, and people kept getting off at every stop. So, but eventually it got to Long Beach, California. There was a big celebration, like there was like planes going over, like dropping like flowers and shit on the deck and whatnot. So it was like a big deal. Now, when they had to, so what they did was they put it in Long Beach Harbor, and they had to essentially make it so that it wasn't a ship anymore. It was like a building. So they took out all of the engines. They took out the boiler room. They took out three, as I mentioned earlier, they took out three of the propellers, but they left one in there just because it was big and impressive, and they wanted people to like look at it. So they wanted to turn it into like a maritime museum, also a hotel. They wanted to kind of build like a whole kind of attraction around it. So that sort of came to pass. It wasn't as successful, I think, as they were hoping, but in the ensuing years, it did become a big attraction particularly for ghost hunters, paranormal, people that are into paranormal stuff, because it very quickly got the reputation that it was super, super haunted. So finally, now that we're almost 2 hours into this shit, let's start talking about some of the ghosts that are supposedly haunting the Queen Mary. So I've seen on various paranormal websites, I've seen estimates, if you can estimate this type of thing. I've seen estimates of between 150 to up to 600 ghosts walking around in this shit. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. The book, The Ghosts of Queen Mary, says it's 600, but that was like according to one psychic that kind of went there and was like, oh man, there's like spirits all over, which, okay. Now, admittedly, the Queen Mary was the site of at least 49 reported deaths. There have allegedly been some other deaths that were maybe covered up. I don't know if I believe that or not. So that might have added to the total as well. Like I said, there was the whole thing with the Curaçao where 337 people ended up getting killed because of the accident. So there's that whole thing going on. And during the war, like I said, they were transporting, prisoners of war, some of whom might have died on board as well. So there's a lot of history behind it. So I can see like why it might be super haunted. Now, one of the most...
Hold on, I gotta get my drink. I had to let the Feeky out.
Oh, I was like, he came in and I was like, I thought you went to get a drink. What are you even doing? He doesn't have the drink in his hand. So one of the most haunted, probably one of the most famous stories about the Queen Mary is about Hatch Door 13. We're finally talking about the ghost.
What happened was that
I was like, yeah, what took you so long?
I had to find the cat's collar so I could let Feeky out.
Yeah, because she's not allowed to go out on the porch.
She can't go without a collar.
I mean, she needs her little reflection.
Bitch, gotta have clothes on if you're gonna go outside.
That's what we always said. We're like, we gotta put your clothes on.
Yeah.
But she knows.
Yeah, okay, now hold on one second. I was talking with Tila about Conan. And I got to point something out about Conan. Not only the Riddle of Steel, but there was some shit about the necklace and the Eye of the Serpent and the Wheel of Suffering. Conan was fucking born on the Wheel of Suffering. And what they're talking about is they're talking about Buddhism. In the Wheel of Suffering, it's about desire. There's always a wheel. All right, it's a cyclical thing in Buddhism. You want things. You get things. You're satisfied by things. And then you become disappointed by it. And it's replaced by another desire. You're constantly wanting things, getting them, fucking getting sick of them, and fucking getting something else. It's the constant wheel of fucking disappointment, dissatisfaction. So Conan is in the fucking. It's symbolic of life. You know, you're never satisfied with
constant disappointment.
Conan's in the fucking pit early on in his career. First of all, the drudgery of it. He's pushing the fucking thing. He's getting stronger, and then they put him in the pit to fight other ones. All right, and in the pit, the narrator, one of his father figures, I forgot his name, the sorcerer, he goes, Conan found his own sense of worth. His own sense of self-worth. He mattered. All right. What they're saying is that through the Wheel of Suffering, eventually you can find out that what you do matters. And that'll help you take action in life. Because what you do matters. All right. But that's not the fucking solution to everything. Thulsa Doom and his boys had fucking captured the Eye of the Serpent. And they had a whole cult of women that worshipped him. In mythology, this goes all the way back to the goddess Asherah and in the Garden of Eden in the fucking Old Testament. The serpent is always a female symbol. Because it's an egg, which is female, and it's in the ground, and it comes out a serpent, which is male, and then it goes back into an egg into the ground. So it's the male and female fucking cycle.
Also, women are evil.
Well, no, that was not the original story.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Valeria told him, let's get out of this life. We'll fucking be happy. We could have a family or something, and we don't have to worry about this shit. Conan goes, no, I need vengeance. Later on, she dies on the mission. She sacrificed herself for fucking Conan. And he realized, there's a scene where he takes the Wheel of Suffering necklace off. It's just like when he takes it off, and then he puts her necklace on, which was the stolen Eye of the Serpent, Asherah. And what that fucking represents is that Conan realizing that his only way to get out of that life is to adopt a family life and live and achieve immortality through children, through the reproductive process. That's what it symbolizes. Okay. So that's only one of the many things that was hidden in fucking Conan. John Milius and Oliver Stone, who wrote that shit, they are fucking geniuses. And me loving religion and mythology, that's my favorite movie. That Conan is definitely my favorite.
Well, see, we writers aren't dummies. It's
like, definitely favorite movie.
We know all the shit about like fucking mythology. We know all the shit about. We've all read Joseph Campbell. We all know
exactly.
That
it's very much like a Joseph Campbell type story.
We know all about the symbolism.
It is.
Sure.
Conan is the fucking blueprint. Is a blueprint on how to be a man and how to be a woman, and a good example of it. If you ask me, that's just my opinion, but I believe it to be true based on my experiences. Okay.
Tila started singing Wheel in the Sky, and that's exactly what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
Which is really weird because when that came up, I was like, ooh, I was just singing that also.
In Buddhism, the wheel or the Wheel of Suffering is something you're supposed to escape. You're supposed to reach nirvana, which is an enlightened indifference to the Wheel of Suffering.
Well, because the wheel is kind of like it's the
repetitive,
same shit
over and over.
Same shit, different
right.
day.
And in Milius's vision, the only way out of that is by having descendants.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to achieve immortality. But true individual immortality, that's not demonstrated in the movie Conan. That goes against nature. You're supposed to die eventually. It's part of the cycle.
Well, yeah, that's just how shit goes.
And even Yoda says this shit in fucking Star Wars.
Even Yoda.
Back when Star Wars was good and written well. But, yeah. Yeah, even Yoda.
He had to get that.
Says that, oh, yeah, so you can't die, you're Yoda. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'm not that strong. Yeah, no. Only evil never dies. Yeah.
That's
Just ask my mom.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That whole family.
Sad, right?
Yeah, only
Sad.
evil, yeah.
But it seems to be true, which is
Yeah.
kind of a bummer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. So, so we're talking about the ghosts.
Mm.
You into it?
Yeah.
Okay, are you still like on the Conan tip or?
They said I pulled his hair out and peed all over himself from what we I don't know what fucking we're talking about.
I don't know.
We'll keep just
Yeah, Sheila was saying that psychic Peter James. That's what I was talking about. Actually, Peter James, I think he's passed away, but the guy that wrote Ghosts of the Queen Mary, the Haunted America book that I read on Kindle Unlimited, he was talking about Peter James, and that's, I guess Peter James went to the Queen Mary, and that's how he got his gig on Sightings. I think was the first show he was on, and then he was on Scariest Places later on. But I think like he got like a lot of notoriety because of his shit about, and apparently Peter James, he was the one that came up with like a lot of these ghosts because he was a psychic. He went on there and he was like saying he communicated. I mean, particularly one of the ghosts that's kind of one of the more famous ones, which is like a little girl. Her name is Jackie or Jacqueline. And he supposedly has recordings of him like talking to this little girl like for like 20 minutes or something like that. You know what I mean? Which I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, I've seen estimates from 150 to 600 different ghosts. I think Peter James was one of the ones that said, yeah, there's 600 ghosts on this shit, which, okay. So, now, the engine room of the Queen Mary, this is one of the more active areas of the ship. Now, apparently, I don't know if they did some filming of the Poseidon Adventure on here, or I've also heard that, like, the dude that wrote the Poseidon Adventure had been on the Queen Mary, and that's where he got the idea.
Well, look, the whole Hollywood scene was right there near Long Beach.
Yeah.
Anybody who moved there went to go see the fucking Queen Mary. It was a local attraction. But I'm sure he was inspired by it.
I kind of feel like that's probably it.
And on a side note, people, fucking silver tequila and apple juice don't mix.
You don't like it?
No, that shit tastes like shit.
Does it?
That shit tastes like shit. Well, you want to try it?
No, I don't want to try it. I don't like tequila anyway.
I'm going to roll with it just because I have to. You know what I mean?
Well, once you've had a few drinks, it doesn't really matter what it tastes like.
You know what might be better in that? If I put a little bit of lemonade in there. It needs some tart.
Well, all right.
We got lemonade.
We got lemonade, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put
Look at him. He's like fucking... He's trying to make it work. Yeah. He's trying to make it work. We have lemonade in the fridge. All right, so... Like I said, I'm not sure if they filmed like some parts of the Poseidon Adventure on this, or if the dude that wrote the Poseidon Adventure was just inspired by like shit about the Queen Mary. But so there's this very famous section of the ship, and it's usually called Shaft Alley, and there's the very famous hatch door number 13. Now this is kind of confusing because I've read like a whole bunch of different shit about this particular haunting or this particular area. One of the most famous stories about this particular part of the ship, and this supposedly happened in 1966.
Yeah, a little bit of lemon worked out.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I'm glad you were able to salvage it.
Yeah, just put a little bit of lemon in there.
So you don't have to dump it out and start.
But you know what? It tastes a little bit like an energy drink.
Yeah, Tammy says, can't waste the tequila. You can't. I mean, shit, like, even if it tastes like shit, I'm just going to drink it anyway because...
That tastes a lot like...
Booze is expensive.
That tastes a lot like Red Bull.
That's not a good thing.
Well, I fucking think it's awesome.
Well, you like Red Bull. Good for you.
Okay.
But yeah, so... This is the story. And like I said, I'm confused about this because there's two different stories, and I don't know if it's the same dude or not. But okay, so the story goes that in 1966... So there are these doors in the engine and boiler rooms, and they were controlled from the bridge. So it's like if they were able to be closed, they were watertight, like in case water was like coming in the ship, like to keep water from coming in, like fucking up the engines or whatever. So it's like they would close like automatic. So they were bridge controlled. You couldn't control them from like down in the, boiler room or down in the engine room where you were. So apparently there was really bad fog one night, or there was something going on. It was high waves or whatever. So the captain says, hey, we need to like shut all the doors down in fucking Shaft Alley, which I don't think they called it then, but whatever. So it's like, we need to shut all the doors back then. So they closed all of them. Now, this was like 3:55 in the morning. 5 minutes later, some people go down there and they find a dude who was 18 years old. He was on the crew, and they found him like smushed in the door, because the door, like I said, they were automatically controlled, so they would like close like out of like bam, like that, like really quickly. And I guess he was either in there, like, because I've heard either somebody like murdered him by like holding him in there, like while the door was closing, or that he thought he was being like clever by saying, because apparently among the younger crew members, the younger and dumber crew members at the time, they were kind of like, hey, they had like some weird kind of game of chicken where when the doors were going to close, like they would hear the alarm and then they'd be like, hey, let's see if we can like jump through the door before it closes. And like whoever gets the closest, like you're the biggest badass, except this guy like didn't make it this time. It didn't cut him in half. I've seen some people saying that like, oh, he was cut in half. That's not what happened. They found his body and he was kind of smushed in the door, but he wasn't super fucked up. Like he just had like blood coming out of his nose or his mouth or whatever. And he was still alive, but when they like took him to the hospital, he died like later on because all of his internal organs were smushed. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't cut in half or anything like as grisly as that. But I don't know if it was, I'm assuming it was just an accident. I don't think it was murder. But so this dude is apparently one of the people that has been haunting the shit. Now, this guy's ghost, like I said, I'm confused over whether this is, because I was reading Ghost of Queen Mary and he names two different guys. One of the dudes was named John Petter, and this guy is supposedly was the 18-year-old, and they were playing chicken, and he didn't get out of the way of the door fast enough when they were playing the game and ended up getting smushed. Whereas this other guy, John Mackenzie, was supposedly murdered. Everybody hated this dude, and they said, hey, we're just going to hold him in the door, like when the alarm goes off, and he's going to get smushed in there. So I don't know if this is like the same dude and they're just like conflating two separate occurrences. I'm not really sure. But whatever the case, this is a very famous haunting. Many people have said that when they are down in this area of the ship, Shaft Alley, that they hear somebody running behind them. They hear somebody whistling. Some people have reported like spots, like greasy fingerprints that appear on their faces. Some people have actually claimed to have seen an apparition of a dude with a beard that has blue coveralls on. And this dude apparently looks a lot like one of the two dudes that actually did die on the ship. He's usually just seen like kind of out of the corner of your eye. And some people have also reported saying they saw a dude that looked like he was dressed kind of like an engineer kind of outfit. And he's like wandering around in the hall, like down there. And he asks people if they've seen his wrench.
Damn.
Which to me, man, if you're a ghost, you're just going to spend your eternity like wandering up. And I was like, where the fuck is that wrench at?
Well, some people...
It's driving me crazy.
Some people have hypothesized that some of these ghosts might come in different flavors. All right, and one of the versions
some are strawberry flavored, some are tequila flavored.
Some ghosts might just be kind of like an echo of the past, like an emotional echo.
I kind of feel like that's more likely than I don't believe in ghosts generally, but I do feel like if they do exist, I think it's kind of more like a tape repeating itself.
Yeah,
I don't think they're
seen a poltergeist.
Sentient.
I seen a poltergeist. That bitch is fucking intense and it's physical. Jenny's seen a little bit of it.
But I think that comes from a living person.
Yeah, it comes from a little bit. Now, that house that me and fucking Eric moved into after we got out of the army, that might have been a haunted house. that may have been a ghost like what we're talking about. But it felt like an emotion from the past, is what it felt like. And it affected everybody that went into it. But it wasn't as strong as a poltergeist. Not physically.
I think, like I said, I don't believe in ghosts generally, but I think if they do exist, I think it's kind of like a stone tape kind of situation where
some kind of
it's just something that's like, you know, there was a lot of emotion. It somehow imprinted itself.
Some kind of quantum recording that you can somehow pick up.
I think it's that.
And it might replay.
And I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying that's probably, to me, that seems like the most
Which
likely.
would make more sense that only some people could access it.
Yeah, because not everybody sees shit when they go. Because, like...
kind of like a message from the past in that
thousands
area.
of people go to the Queen Mary all the time. And I've seen, like, a lot of ghost hunter people that have gone there and, like, they didn't see shit. Or they didn't hear shit. But then some people go there and, like, see and hear all kind of things. So I do kind of feel like only some people can, like, pick up on that shit.
Yeah. Now, upon my authority, okay.
My authority.
My authority. Based upon my experiences, I've seen fucking poltergeist. That is a physical phenomenon. It's very startling. Very, it'll really change your viewpoint of the world. That right there, I think, is a very different phenomenon to what a lot of people are calling ghosts.
Yeah, I think that's two completely different.
Yeah, and I think I've fucking experienced ghost through that house. Yeah. Zachary asked me about it. He was the first one that said, Tom, but you haven't told us about the house. The house compared to Mammoth Mountain Poltergeist was fucking weak. Ghosts are weak, in my experience. I think it's just a recording of the past. Somehow you go into that area and you have a feeling
that something bad happened there.
That something bad happened there, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's not just humans that would be able to access that. Maybe animals could access that. That this is a bad place. Something happened here. And you might get a few images, you know what I mean, in your dreams, because I was living in that place, that are kind of related to it. But it's emotion. It's not a living creature.
It's not like interactive.
No.
That's why I think a lot of the stuff with the ghost hunter shows where they're like talking to these ghosts.
Yeah,
like
a waste of time.
I don't think that that's necessarily...
Waste of time in my experience. In my experience, what they're talking about, now maybe there's something like that, but I haven't seen it. In my experience, what they're talking about is they're accessing emotions from the past. And I think, you can say, well, how do you explain that? It's something having to do with quantum consciousness, or some kind of quantum recording or something, you know what I mean? In the fabric of space-time, in that area, somehow some kind of trace is left behind. Now I'm sounding like fucking Mr. Halloran from The Shining.
You are, yeah.
Which there's something to that. There is something to that, too. Okay. But it's something like that. That's what in my experience, and I think I have a lot more experience than the average person. Maybe not as much as some of these investigators that saw a bunch of shit, you know what I mean? But I saw one poltergeist and one ghost. Or one haunting. And the haunting
because you didn't see an actual ghost.
I didn't see a ghost. I was in a haunted house.
It just was a feeling.
What they called a haunted house. Yeah. It was a feeling. It was a feeling, and it affected you. But it was things from the past.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that was living in the present, although maybe it felt like it was, but I don't think it was.
Alex says it's actually mammoth, like a woolly mammoth, yeah.
Yeah, Mammoth Mountain.
Mountain, yeah.
We wrote a book about it, man, if I can read it.
That was some crazy shit.
Mammoth Mountain Poltergeist. Jenny wrote it.
Yeah. And
we've changed it a couple times to update it, and the audio book has more interviewing with me in it.
Well, the audiobook we uploaded was, I think it had like the update of like the shit that happened at this house, because that hadn't happened.
It hadn't happened yet. Okay.
When I wrote the book.
I forgot how many updates we've done to it.
Just one. Like the audiobook just has like an extra chapter.
But if you guys buy the fucking Mammoth Mountain Poltergeist audiobook that Jenny did, what's in that book is absolutely true. I lived through it. All right, that did happen. I'm fucking crazy, motherfucker. I fuck around a lot. I joke around a lot. a clown. But the story that I told Jenny in that is absolutely true. Jenny talked to my aunt and my uncle when he was alive, and they were like, yeah, that shit did happen.
I talked to your cousin, too, a little bit.
It was the weirdest fucking thing ever. All right. So, not everything is as it seems. There is weird shit out there. Another one I could vouch for would be fucking Enfield Poltergeist. It's an old book. Guy Lion Playfair. I had the same thing happen to me. And I really think some of those fucking sightings from fucking Air Force pilots with these UFOs, I also think that is real. I think it's some kind of an alien presence, but now this stuff about, guys from fucking Tennessee saying that a UFO came down and I had sex with a beautiful alien woman and she showed me our children. Fuck no, I don't believe that. But
yeah, that's a little silly.
No, things are seen and it's starting to come out a little bit. Some of the government agencies are like, yeah, we do see some weird shit. And, now the Bigfoot thing, when I was a kid, I believed more in Bigfoot. There could be something like that alive still. It would be up in Washington State or Canada.
Well, like I said, I feel like of all the paranormal, panoply of, shit, I kind of feel like Bigfoot is probably the most... I'm not saying I believe in Bigfoot. I'm just saying...
It's likely.
It's the most likely of all the other things.
And there's another one out in Indonesia.
Because it's just he would just be an animal.
And there's another thing out in Indonesia called orang pendek. And there's been some very credible people and biologists that have seen the orang pendek. And the orang pendek would be a small Bigfoot. It's kind of red.
He's a small foot.
It's a small foot, yeah. But what you're talking about is a hominid. Or a humanoid.
Yeah, which isn't weird. Because
that's not that weird.
They did exist at some point.
Right.
I mean...
So there may be something like that still out there.
So look at, the quote-unquote hobbits.
Right. Now, spiritual Bigfoots that teleport around and don't leave footprints and shit.
That is just dumb as
shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Come on.
This
That's
show...
like trying to have your cake and eat it too. It's like, look, right. Bigfoot isn't cool or exotic enough, so now we're gonna have him he's a ghost and an alien. Come on, knock it off.
This is a paranormal true crime mystery show. We do have some shit to add to it. I'm a personal witness, so is Jenny. But there's limits to certain things. There's a lot of shit that's fucking hoaxes. There could be an orang pendek. There could be a Bigfoot, but it would be very much up north, and there wouldn't be very many of them, and it would just be another hominid, like a gorilla.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Which, like I said, we know gorillas exist.
Right. Gorillas used to be paranormal. Those weren't really proven to the white man until, I think, what?
That's true. That was actually,
1890s?
Something like that. I can't remember offhand. I'm not
used to be the white man didn't believe in gorillas. Oh, that never existed until they captured some. They went, okay.
I suppose so.
So it might be a situation like that, but there wouldn't be very many of them. I think there might be an orang pendek. But this idea of, it's a spiritual creature that teleports around.
That's why he doesn't leave footprints.
That's what I was going to get to. You got jackholes saying that they've seen shit, but there's no footprints left behind. So they said, it's spiritual. No, you made it up.
Well,
or you didn't.
The thing about it is that I feel like if your worldview and or career is built upon you writing books about this thing, you really have to come up with anything you can come up with, any excuse you can come up with to say why this thing exists. So if somebody says, hey, what about this, that, and the other thing, you have to have an answer for every single thing. As dumb as it fucking sounds to normal people, to people who believe you and buy your shit, then that absolutely sounds like an excuse because they just want to believe it. Which, if you want to believe in Bigfoot, if you want to believe that Bigfoot is a fucking alien and he's up there in the ship with Elvis or whatever the fuck you want to believe, just believe that. It's fine. But don't try to come out and be this shit is objective reality, because it ain't. But if you want to believe it, then that's up to you. You're not hurting anybody.
Yeah. Now, Zach, Zach's trying to take me back to fucking Conan. About the conversation Conan and Subutai had about the gods. What they're talking about in that one. Okay, now I'm trying to quote, is they're talking about Crom lives in his mountain, okay? And Subutai's god is the sky that lives above the mountain, that his fucking god was higher, all right? If you actually look at the characters, what you're talking about is that they're different kinds of warriors. Conan is a ground warrior. He's a guy that carries heavy weapons. He doesn't move fast, but he has a lot of power. Subutai is a sky warrior. He's got arrows. He's small. He moves fast, and he's accurate. What you're talking about is you're talking about the rival. What John Milius is talking about is the rivalry between infantry like me, okay, and fighter pilots. Sky warriors and ground warriors. They're talking about that rivalry, but in Conan, the shit is settled because they're all on the same team. That's what that conversation was about.
Well, yeah,
Zachary.
because they have different strengths.
They have different strengths.
And both of the strengths are equally valid.
And they're working together to complement themselves on the battlefield.
Yeah.
One guy's dominating the ground, another guy's dominating the sky. It's two different gods. That's what they're talking about. That's it, yeah.
And in some, Bigfoot.
Right. And Subutai was pussy whipped. Conan found him chained up outside a woman's house saying she left me for the fucking wolves.
She was a witch, though.
She was a witch. Well, all women are witches. They're evil. That's what, well,
we
no.
are.
Actually, that's not what the story.
I'm evil.
That's not what the story said. The story was saying that some women will destroy you and want you to give up your soul for things. That's what the witch was. All right? That's what the witch was. All right? Conan saved that man from the witch, and then they're fucking buddies. Then they move on. But then Conan fucking meets a good woman. Conan meets a good woman. She was a good woman, just like him. All right? And she promised him eternal life in terms of fucking ancestors. That's what they're talking about there in that story. Milius and Stone knew what they were fucking doing, all right? They were bros, okay? They were bros. But that shit, okay, they're telling it from, go ahead and laugh. They're telling it from the male perspective, but there's a female equivalent too. But you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever saved another woman from a bad man?
Every woman has.
There you go. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're talking about. Some men are sorcerers. Some women are sorcerers. That's what they're talking about.
Well, yeah. How many times have you had?
Right.
Oh, I can think of a situation. I'm not going to say
But
anything about it.
You got men writing this story. You have men writing this story, so they're going to tell the story to other men. That's what that.
Right. They don't get the woman perspective.
Well, they do get the woman.
I mean, they do, but they're not women, so they don't.
They're not women, so they're not going to tell it from that story.
Right.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
But like you said, it's the same thing.
It's
like
the same thing.
We've all, like, I feel like probably every woman in existence has had to tell one of her friends, sisters, somebody, yeah, get rid of that dude. Because that's bad news.
It's the same thing. You got Subutai's out there chained up, and he's like, "What you do?" "Left me for the wolves." You know, and you know you're gonna find women as a woman. You're gonna find another. He left me for the wolves. You know that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, wow, we went like so far. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm already. You need to make me another drink already.
All right.
Holy crap.
Same thing.
But, yeah, sure. Okay. I'm gonna get back to talking about ghosts. God damn it! What are you doing?
Poltergeist knocked it down, didn't it?
No, that was you. All right. So, okay, some other shit on the ship other than Hatch Door 13, which is very famous. Now, probably the second most famous area in the ship are where the swimming pools are. Now, one of the swimming pools is still there. It's been drained, so it's technically not a swimming pool, and it's just like a big fucking tile hole at this point. The second class swimming pool, I don't think is a pool anymore. They might have filled it in at this point. I haven't been there. But, so this is the place where I feel like most of the paranormal investigators, even though this isn't necessarily the most active place historically, this is kind of the place that's gotten the reputation of being the most active. So the pool areas are like the place that most paranormal investigators will go to get like some fucking action.
Here you go. Let me check on Feeky real quick.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Now, there have been several spirits reported around this area, including there's one woman, actually there's several women, but one woman in particular that's quite famous, that has been seen multiple times. She shows up in like a 1930s looking swimsuit, and she's like kind of like wandering around the decks near the pool. Now, supposedly, she even leaves like wet footprints like on the floor. Now, something that might be confusing is that I'm not sure if Disney was the origin of this or if this was a later thing, but when they started doing like the Ghosts and Legends tour on the Queen Mary, they started adding, for spice, so people would like get something for their money, I suppose. They started adding like special effects, sound effects, all that kind of shit. They're not saying that it's real. They're not saying, it's ghosts or anything like that. But they're kind of like making it more like a haunted house type attraction. So one of the special effects they added was wet footprints like appearing on the floor in certain areas of the ship. Now, so some of the shit, if you see like the wet footprints, some of that shit is fake. Like it's special effects, because that's a story that gets told a lot. Now, what I have heard from various paranormal investigators is that when that happened, when they started doing the fake wet footprints, like the supposedly real wet footprints of the spirit that was known for doing that kind of like got less and less like she was pissed off about it or something. Like she was trying to be like, hey, I left you guys and now you're like faking it. I'm not about that. So I'm just saying, I don't know if they do it anymore, but for a long time they were doing a show, like in the whole tour, and it had a thing where like you would go to the thing and then like wet footprints would appear on the floor, and that was totally not real. That was like special effects. But supposedly some people have said that happened for real, like before that, and also now that it doesn't do it anymore, as far as I can like understand. So another ghost that appears a lot in this area, people have heard like splashing in the pool, even though there's no water in it anymore. There's also the spirit of, is she all right?
Yeah, and Beige came in.
What'd she do?
Beige walked in like, get the fuck with me. You know how she is.
She's so bitchy, you guys.
I know, and the wind's blowing, which means rain's coming.
I thought, do you know what? Like earlier this afternoon, I heard like, because there's a window like right there, and I heard like shit like hitting the window. Like, what are you doing?
Stretching.
I thought
fucked up.
I thought it was hailing outside.
No, it's fucking blowing like crazy. I'm hammered, man. Oh, you people are gonna have to talk me through this shit. You're gonna have to talk me through this shit.
You'll be all right.
I drank a lot
Mark
of liquor.
says Pookie and Beijing should be there in the room with y'all.
No, they're outside playing. The wind's blowing like fucking crazy. They got to be out there for that. Now,
it was very windy earlier today.
Beige came in, but
Beijing will not come in here unless she's really, really lonely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then she'll come in, but even then it's like grudgingly. I think I don't know if she's not that old. She's what, 11? She's 11.
Yeah, she's old.
But, that's not, yeah, I guess that's kind of old for a cat. But she is very cranky. She's always been kind of a diva. She's not real affectionate. And, every now and then she will be, but there has to be certain circumstances. But it's kind of like, even if you try to, like, pet her, like, if she's in the room and you're like, oh, hey, princess, whatever, and you pet her and she's like, eh, she goes like that. Like, she doesn't want you to do it, and she, like, kind of, fuck off.
Yeah.
She's like that. I don't know. She's very bitchy. But
Alex said that he's got a friend that thinks that the national park system was created.
I was going to say that earlier.
But that's some crazy shit. No, that didn't happen.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of effort to go through just to cover up one hominid.
No, they want to find Bigfoot, I guarantee you.
I mean,
they'd make a lot of money if they found Bigfoot.
See, that's what I mean. That's what I believe a lot of these conspiracy theories. Right. I'm like, think about what you're saying. You were thinking about that. You were saying that there's a whole entire national fucking thing with like hundreds, thousands of employees
to hide Bigfoot
just for that one thing. No one's gonna do that.
No.
Nobody.
No.
I mean, that is the stupidest thing ever. That's like I said, that's when I believe in conspiracy theories. Because there's just like, there's too many people that have to be involved. It's like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So like I said, the pools, which like I said, are actually really beautiful. If you see pictures of them, it's very, like I said, it's Art Deco and it's all nice and everything. So people have reported hearing like splashing sounds, like someone was still swimming in the pool, even though there's no water anymore. There's a little girl that's often seen in this area, like, you know, with a little teddy bear in her hands. Some people have said that they've seen like a younger woman in a tennis skirt walking down the stairs, because there's the pool and then there's like these two big like stairs like that kind of go down. It's like I said, it's really nice looking, very classy. But she kind of like walks down the stairs and then she disappears behind a pillar. Some people have said in this area they also saw a woman in a wedding gown next to the pool, and then she's like standing with this little boy that's kind of like in a little suit. Some people have also said they saw like a weird like cloud, like of like smoke or steam or something like that, and it kind of comes out of nowhere, and then there's like a little girl and she has like a blue and white dress on, and then she kind of like appears and then she goes poof and then she's gone. Now in the second class pool room, which as I said is not, as far as I know, is not a pool anymore, because like I said, a lot of the shit that when this was a ship, you know, shit that was a pool, it's like they changed a lot of stuff like into something else, like when it was made into a museum and a hotel. So a lot of the stuff is not what it used to be. So the second class pool, this is where one of the more famous ghosts kind of shows up. And this is like a little girl named Jackie or Jacqueline. And like I said, they talk about this little girl a lot in the Ghost of Queen Mary book. This is supposedly a little girl that several psychics have talked to at length. There's also another alleged ghost who might be a teenage girl named Sarah that is kind of like looking out for her. There's another ghost too in this ship that's just called the Lady in White. She doesn't have a name, I guess. And she's also kind of like a mother figure, supposedly, to this little girl. They don't know who this little girl is. Now, the little girl, Jackie, the story goes that she drowned in the pool, like, while the ship was still, like, sailing or was still a luxury liner. Now, I will note that as far as I know, there is no record of anyone drowning in any of the pools during any of the time that the Queen Mary was a passenger ship. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Sure, it could have been covered up, but I don't know. I kind of doubt it. So no one really knows who this little girl is. They only know that that's her name because, like, that's what various psychics have said. So supposedly this little girl, like, talks to many paranormal investigators. People hear her, like, laughing, giggling. Some people have seen her. If you look at the Ghost of Queen Mary book, there's actually a picture. You saw it earlier.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
Which it looks like a very vague looking, like, little girl, like, peeking over the top of, like, the staircase, like, that goes down to the pool. It looks very much like that Amityville horror.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Like that Amityville picture that, like, Ed and Lorraine Warren took.
Yeah.
Of, like, a little kid, like, peeking out of the door.
It does. Now, Zach's in there. Hold on one second. What's his name? Zach and Michael, they're fucking going on about what I said about Conan.
He's going on.
Yeah, and they're saying he didn't know what he's talking about or whatever. That has nothing to do with Conan. Look, the fucking Sky Warrior and Ground Warrior fucking things were they're modern messages. They don't have anything to do with the ancient world. That's not the way John Milius and fucking Oliver Stone saw things. They were trying to give modern messages to modern people through, I guess you could say, mythology. All right, it doesn't have anything to, and fucking Michael's right. It doesn't have anything to do with fucking Howard's version of fucking Conan. They're very different. That was just Milius and Stone. They even had a different idea about what time this was happening in. Stone wanted this to be happening in the future, in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about that on the
Yeah, fucking tens of thousands of years in the future. Okay.
Like after shit got blowed up, and everybody just thought that, and just like Teenage Caveman.
Right, and that
Roger Corman.
And that story in the beginning about the gods losing the fucking Riddle of Steel on the battlefield was actually about a nuclear warfare. You know.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm talking about.
Teenage Caveman.
Right. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. But the Conan was supposed to represent infantry, and Subutai was supposed to represent Air Force pilots, fighter pilots. That was the idea. Sky warriors and ground warriors. Go ahead. And the rivalry between the two. Okay? You got working class guys on the ground, and you got these fucking higher class guys in the sky. They're very different, but they're both fighting and dying for shit, and they're both on the same team. That was the fucking idea.
Well, like I said, they have different skill sets.
Exactly. Because
and that's what's cool. Everybody's got different skill sets.
Conan was fucking Arnold being played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, a big motherfucker with a sword, sometimes an axe. All right, and then Subutai was played by a small surfer, in fucking furs with a bow. All right, it was very different types of fighters.
See, I always thought a bow and arrow was a much better weapon because you could get people from farther away if you were a good
but
shot.
if you're up close you're fucking in a
bad, obviously if you're up close a club is better,
right?
Or an axe or a sword.
Subutai had a sword too, but it was a short sword. But you just got to pay attention to the damn, and you got to pay attention to the fucking, because
I feel like I'm more of a sniper type of mentality.
And remember how Subutai fucking saved Conan in the pit with the big ass fucking snake. Yeah. Conan was fucking fighting it up close with axes and swords, and Subutai's back there. He could shoot 3 arrows in a fucking
I'm back here. I'm totally safe, you guys. I'll just get it from back here.
Right. So he was in support.
I got it covered.
So his small size was not a disadvantage with his style of fighting. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah. Right. Like I said, everybody's got their own.
Everybody has their own skills.
Sure.
Right.
Which that's a nice message.
Yeah.
Just gotta say. All right, so another very famous aspect of the Queen Mary haunting is stateroom B340. Now, I got some shit to say about this, but I'm just going to go with the shit that's on a lot of paranormal websites. So, stateroom B340 is kind of touted as one of the most haunted places on the ship. Supposedly, the story goes, in 1948, there was a third-class passenger who was British, and his name was Walter Adamson, and he supposedly died in the room from undisclosed whatever. And then in the 60s, apparently people started reporting that the room was haunted. Like, people's covers would start coming off at night, get pulled off them. People started seeing like apparitions of a dude like standing at the foot of their bed and whatnot. Some people, even in more recent times, have reported hearing someone knocking on the door in the middle of the night. The lights in the bathroom turn off and on. The maids at the hotel said that they keep finding the water turned on, like in the bathroom, even when no one's staying in the room. Shit like they'd make the bed and then they'd go back in there and like the covers be all fucked up and everything like that. Now, apparently this room was like closed to guests for a long time, but like I said, I don't know if any of this is true. This is paranormal stuff, so it's all very nebulous, like I said. But according to the book, Ghosts of Queen Mary, the shit about stateroom B340, anything that they allege happened in that room, is probably like misattributed, because they're like, look, stateroom B340 was never a hotel room. You know what I mean? It was one of those things when they were first building it out as a hotel. They finished 150 rooms, and then they discovered that the demand for rooms was not as high as they were anticipating. So a lot of the rooms that they were planning to turn into hotel rooms, they didn't end up turning into hotel rooms. They just like used them for storage or whatever. So B340 was one of those. So in the whole entire time that this was a hotel, B340 was never a hotel room. However, what I have heard, was that there was another room that was B474. Now, what I've heard about this room was that in 1959, supposedly, there was a family staying in this particular room when it was a hotel. And the dude, the dad of the family, like, fucking flipped out for whatever reason that dudes flip out, and strangled his wife and his 2 daughters, and then shot himself in the head. I'm not sure if this is true, but I've seen it repeated on several websites. So, supposedly this happened in B474 in 1959. And what ended up happening was that when Disney owned the hotel and they were like looking to turn this into an attraction and they were kind of like going to add special effects and everything, they didn't like, for some reason they didn't want to use 474 for whatever reason. So they opened up 340 and they kind of transferred the murder story from 474 to 340, but they kind of like embellished it a little bit. And so now they had, like, when you do the tour, room 340 is the one where they have like all the like special effects and all the like, ooh, ghosts like murder and shit like that. But nothing actually happened in that room because that was never a hotel room. That's what I've heard. So I don't know if that's true or not. And like I said, I don't know if the shit in 474 actually happened or not, even though I've read it on several sources that there was actually like a triple murder that occurred in that room. Like it was a dude that killed his whole family and then killed himself. And then like the, whoever like owned it at the time, like covered it all up because they didn't want anybody to know. So I don't really know, but that's kind of like the story. But like I said, it gets misattributed to the wrong room. So a lot of people that stay in 340, say that that's like the haunted room, but probably the shit that would have haunted the room was a different room. That's all I'm saying. According to the book that I read.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is. But yeah, so another place that a lot of hauntings take place is the Mauritania room. Now, allegedly, in 1989, there were 2 cleaning ladies, and they get sent to this particular room. This is like a lounge. I guess there's going to be some like big reception there with like some important people and whatnot. So they get sent there like to clean it. They come in and they said that they saw a dude sitting in a chair, like in the middle of the dance floor. And he was just like sitting there, like kind of like not saying anything. So they're kind of like trying to be like, hey, what's the deal? And he just like sat there and didn't respond to them. Then another woman came in at some point and was like, what's the deal with this dude just like sitting in this chair in the middle of the room? He's just like staring at me. And he supposedly like asked her to move or to get out of the room. So they thought that it was just a guy. Like they didn't think it was a ghost. They thought it was like a person like sitting in the middle of this room and he wasn't supposed to be there. So they called security. And before security got there, allegedly, this dude like just vanished right in front of their eyes. And 3 women reported this all happening at the same time. So let's see. Another ghost that's reported, this happened in the Queen's Salon. This is another very famous one. This used to be, back in the days when this was a luxury liner, it used to be the first class lounge. Like all the, they had all these like really fancy restaurants and shit on the ship. And this was where like all the hoity-toity like rich people would come and like they would eat at the restaurants and they would come and like dance at this place. So this place, which is now called the Queen's Salon, several people have reported seeing a very, very beautiful looking young woman. She has like a white evening gown and she is usually seen dancing by herself. Sometimes it looks like she's dancing with a partner, but I don't think anyone's ever seen anyone with her. It just kind of looks like she's dancing with somebody, but you can't see who it is, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes most of the time she looks like she's dancing by herself. And she's kind of like off in the corner, like in the shadows. So like a lot of people have seen her and have said that she seems very friendly. Like sometimes she will like look at you like if you see her, and she'll give you like a really nice friendly look, like, hey there, what's going on? And then like she'll kind of like disappear. So a lot of people have reported that as well. There's another room called the Mayfair room. Now this was used to be, when it was a ship, it used to be the beauty salon. Nowadays they use it as like the hotel offices. Now, one report, this was from 2001. I guess somebody that worked at the hotel, they were like in the accounting department. So they come in early to work at 5:30 in the morning. And she came in and she was kind of like, man, like something feels kind of weird in here. So she kind of gets about like doing her work or whatever. And then she sits down at her desk and then she's like, God damn, it's like really fucking cold in here. And then she said that she felt someone like brush the back of her chair and then turned around and nobody was there. And then she said a couple minutes after that she saw a figure like wearing white but also kind of see-through. They were like, they walked across the room and then they went through like the wall, or through the door rather. And so that woman like fucking took off. So that's another place that has been, that people have seen apparitions. Also, there is a place, boiler room number 4, which there's several boiler rooms on the ship. Like I said, they've all been, it's not a ship anymore, so it's not technically a boiler room because they don't need that. So they like cleaned a lot of it out, but they still like call it that. I think that if you go on the Ghosts and Legends tour, if I remember correctly, they use boiler rooms 1 and 2 like on the tour, like that's part of their shit. But I don't know if boiler room 4 is like part of the tour or not. But some people have gone in this particular room and they have seen like a ghost of a little girl in this area. So there's like a lot of like little kid ghosts on this shit too. This little girl, I don't know if it's the same one that's seen in other parts of the ship, but she's usually seen with a doll in her hand, or she's sucking her thumb or something like that. There is also another ghost that usually is called John Henry. This guy is supposedly a welder, and the story goes that a couple of welders died during the construction of the Queen Mary. Like they were either sealed inside the hull accidentally, or they died from a gas leak or something like that. So these two guys are like often, are attributed to like the haunting later on. So this guy was supposedly one of the welders that died when the ship was first under construction. And this guy is supposed to haunt, they call it the boiler room or the green room area. What happened was that when they, made the Queen Mary from a ship into, the museum or whatever that it is now, they took this one area that was a boiler room and they cleaned it all out and they made it like a theater. Because I think like one of the colleges like nearby like uses it like to put on like productions and whatnot. So they have like a theater, and then they have like a green room, and then there's like a room with like a generator in it or something like that. So this spirit that's called John Henry is supposed to haunt specifically the generator room. So this is supposedly this kind of like rugged looking dude, and a lot of people have seen an apparition of him apparently. Now, one thing that's interesting about a lot of the male ghosts that are seen on the Queen Mary, I thought this was very amazing, but a lot of the male ghosts that are supposedly seen on this, including like the dude that got crushed in the door and the whatnot, they seem to like women a lot more than men. This is what's reported. So it's like if a woman goes through the shit, then they'll get haunting shit, but it'll be like somebody like just whispering in your ear, like stroking your hair, stroking your cheek, something like that, pinching your butt, which that's not cool.
Yeah, stroking and pinching and shit, man.
That's right. It's that kind of. It's not that kind of shit.
Sign me up for this.
But
shit.
if it's a man, then you'll get like poked, like pinched,
okay.
like.
Right.
So the male ghosts apparently do not like dudes.
They don't like dudes, yeah.
Coming through. They just want the ladies.
We're dealing with the dude ghost.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I said. Like all the alleged dude ghosts are kind of like, hey, ladies, I'm dead, but hey, I could still make you happy. Yeah. I mean, I could still like stroke you on the fucking, you know what I mean? It's all that kind of thing. But then if a man comes through, like, man, fuck that shit. I can't. Yeah. I'm not corporeal, but I can still like try to punch you from the afterlife. I guess that's what they're doing.
Badger's in now. What's up, Badger?
I thought he was there earlier.
I haven't seen him in a while.
You're like, why don't you talk for a while so I can drink?
What am I going to say? I'm going to say, Badger, man, send me a flashbulb, bro. It's early on in the night. How much time we got left?
I don't know. We're almost at 3 hours.
It was at 3 hour show?
Almost. We're at 2 hours and 43 minutes.
God damn, I can't understand it. I can't understand it.
What do you mean you can't understand it? You spent the first hour. We spent the first hour talking about Xanadu and talking about a whole bunch of shit.
I don't have the fucking processing power in my fucking brain to understand.
No, you don't.
No.
Mango said, "Yep, I have the same problem. I like women more than men too."
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
That shit happens. You like women more than men?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. It depends on what you're talking about by like.
Okay, we're good.
Maybe tolerate is a better word.
Is that what it is?
I tolerate women more than men.
We need to hook up some more threesomes. Then. Tell you what, we need to get us some ass. Get us some fucking booty. Who's going to be in the middle, me or you? Or her?
Me, obviously.
You're going to be in the middle, so everybody's going to be worshiping you in the middle.
Obviously, why the hell would I even get involved in that kind of situation unless I'm going to be the fucking center of attention?
I was thinking I was going to be the center of attention. See, that's how I was imagining it. Me being a man, that's how I'm going to imagine it. You know what I'm talking about? That's not how it worked out. Well, it almost worked out that way. Shit, man, why are you getting me talking about this shit?
Because it's funny. Come on, people love this.
They love it?
People love this.
What happens is, people...
In case you don't know.
No, they start fighting over you. They start fighting. No, I ain't talking about it.
Well, you know.
Fights start breaking out over who's getting most attention.
Well, girls would like it if, like, honestly, I would like
it. But it's got to be a natural flow.
I would honestly like it if two dudes were fighting over me. Yeah. But that doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. Well, no. Most dudes aren't into that shit.
Which is a shame. I'm not into that shit. That's a shame.
Too many dudes.
Too many stuff.
Too many dudes, man. Too many stuff, man. Fucking too much testosterone in one spot.
Y'all are just gonna like not pay attention to me, and you're just gonna start punching each other.
The smell, man. That's what it is, man. Some dude shows up, man. That motherfucker's not even fucking shaved. Nutsack with fucking hair going. It would be some bitch like Tyson.
Oh, you said his name.
I said his name. I said it would be some bitch like... You summoned him. That motherfucker was always trying to do some fucking crazy shit. Him and all his fucking Chinese girls and his fucking other ones that he picked up, and then...
Oh my God, you were opening up a whole can of worms.
Open up whole cans of worms.
This was a bad...
He was like a mini-me. That motherfucker was a mini-me, and he was trying to fucking...
Well, this is going back several... How many years?
Going back a long time
This
ago.
was like...
About 4 years, 5 years ago?
No, it's longer.
Longer than that now?
It's probably more like 8 or 9 years.
No, it hasn't been that long.
No, it was because it was like right when we were first getting together. Yeah. And that was like 9 years ago.
Back when shit was fucking a free-for-all.
Yeah, because I was
yeah, back when shit was a free-for-all, yeah.
On top of some other stuff as well.
Man, I know that. Everybody was on top of some other stuff.
We hadn't solidified the shit yet.
It had not been solidified.
It was, it was still legit. I was still out there.
That was when I was dating that Disney princess.
I remember that.
Remember that crazy bitch?
I remember that crazy bitch.
Yeah, what was her name again?
I'm not going to say it on the show. God damn.
Okay, all right.
Wait, I can't even remember it. I thought I did, but I guess I don't.
Megan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Why'd you say it?
She was gorgeous, but that bitch was fucking crazy, wasn't she? She's a bitch.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing about it,
she looked good though.
Well, yeah, and
Disney thought she looked good,
and I thought you were like the 10th one in the scene to bang her.
Yeah, that bitch.
She made the rounds.
That bitch made all the rounds.
No judgment.
That bitch made all the rounds.
Judgment.
But the thing is, you know why she made the rounds? You know why that bitch made the rounds though? She was insufferable.
Well, yeah.
It's not like she was doing the jumping around. What happened is dudes were getting rid of her.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, okay, that was fun.
You gotta go. Yeah, because that's kind of that. Remember, me and you were just friends at that time.
Yeah, because I was dating someone else. At
and I was like, this bitch is crazy.
Well, I told you he doesn't listen though. Because dudes don't listen.
I had to get it though.
Like I know, but chicks are kind of like, man, that bitch is crazy.
But it wasn't just you telling me to get away from that. It was fucking Sonia was also going.
Well, and also all the dudes that had banged her previous to you.
But I was gonna try it out, man.
And like I said,
she was like a 9. She was cute.
Like I said,
she was super cute. I was gonna try it out.
Yeah, she was cute. But you know what I mean? But she was annoying as shit, though.
She was fucking annoying. She was.
Annoying as shit,
that shit wore thin quickly.
That's what I'm saying.
But physically, she was fucking...
Sure, but that only goes so far.
Yeah, it wears off pretty quick. A couple days later, you're like, man, you gotta get rid of this bitch.
It's like, oh...
She's fucking crazy.
Oh, no. Like, what have I gotten myself into?
It didn't matter at that point, though.
Well,
I was like, okay, I see what I'm dealing with now. Now I'm telling my fucking personal business in front of fucking, what, thousands of people and shit? But they like the show because I say that shit.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I have no shame. Okay. I have no secrets about anything.
All right, let me tell you something, people. Okay. She was cute. All right. Really cute. She looked kind of like a Sandra Bullock, but more fucking full figured, kind of a body like Sophie D, porn star named Sophie D. She was built exactly like that, exactly like kind of like Sophie D, with a little bit of a cuter face. She was real cute. But that bitch, fucking man, I tell you what, man, you got sick of her quick. You got sick of her really quick. I was just like, this bitch is fucking crazy. Looks ain't everything.
Well, here's the thing.
Looks ain't everything.
Here's something that I learned. Thank you, Mango. Yeah. Flashbulb time.
Flashbulb time, Mango. Go ahead, bro.
Here's something that I learned being the awkward weird girl all through high school and college.
And now you're still awkward.
And yeah, that's all right. I own that.
Yeah,
You act like it's an insult.
No, it's
not.
I'm just fucking with you.
It's not.
I'm just fucking with you.
I am awkward and weird.
I'm just fucking with you.
Like I said, I'm proud of it.
Okay.
But here's something I learned. And being friends with... I was friends with I was friends with a lot of chicks, but I was friends with a lot of dudes too, like in high school. Gay dudes, straight dudes, everything. So here's something that I learned is that particularly young dudes, they will put up with an unbelievable amount of bullshit to bang a hot girl. And then they will whine to me about it, about how annoying she is.
Yeah, yeah.
But they will still keep banging her and be like, well...
Yeah.
She's hot though. And I'm like, yeah, but you're miserable and you keep whining to me about it.
Alex Rivera's on there going, fucking looks wear off quick.
I keep telling them, I'm like, look, I'm getting really bored of you whining to me about this bitch. Yeah, it's like, just fucking tell her to step off. Why are you bitching at me?
It's just kind of
I don't care.
It's just kind of a conquest thing. You want to fucking see, you want to fucking experience.
Right, but then it's like, why fucking
in her mouth, man, the more she'd fucking start talking, the fucking less attractive she'd become. You'd be like, this bitch is fucking annoying, man.
Because girls should just not talk.
That girl. No.
Well, that girl in particular.
That girl. Yeah.
I can think of another girl in particular who should probably not talk. And
Which one? Which
you
one?
know who I'm talking
Sonia?
about. No.
Okay.
I love Sonia.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that bitch fucking talks too much, and fucking when she opens her mouth, she just puts her fucking foot in it and fucking says all kinds of crazy shit. And fucking just like, oh man, all beauty starts to vanish. Fucking, you know what I mean? All
See, now you start to understand how women approach dudes.
Yeah, whatever.
Because no, like I said, looks are maybe that much. Yeah. And it's like, once you open your mouth and start spewing some bullshit, I'm like, okay, you're not cute anymore. Bye. You know what I mean? It's like that. I feel like dudes have more tolerance for, if they're hot, she's annoying, but whatever.
I don't think so. You saw me, I tolerated it for how long? A month?
I don't even think it was that long.
3 weeks?
I think it was 3 weeks.
I was fucking hitting the shit out of it, and that shit fucking got fucking old in a couple days.
Well, like I said, you can see how, and it's pretty bad because we're in the goth scene. It's very incestuous. Yeah. Everyone is slept with everybody.
Knows each other, yeah.
Not me. I haven't slept with everybody.
That's the old goth scene. It's not around anymore.
But it used to be back in the old days. It's everybody had dated everybody. Everybody knew everybody's business. It's it's kind of it was kind of like that. So it's kind of and I had heard, I was friends with a lot of dudes that had gone out with her.
Yeah.
And I had heard the same kind of shit from them.
She's fucking annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, well, she was hot for like a week or two, but then...
Yeah, you're like... you're like, shut up. And that's not everyone.
I know that feel, bro.
It's not everyone. It's just her. She needed to shut the fuck up. Had she shut up, she might have lasted for a couple more months. Just, you're fucking dumb.
See,
you're dumb and you're
honestly,
fucking...
I would rather be like awkward and weird and sort of cute.
You're dumb and you don't know what the fuck
instead
you're talking
of
about.
like super hot and super annoying and super crazy.
Super annoying and not knowing what the fuck you're talking about and fucking saying stupid
I'll take
shit.
what I got going on. I'll take that any time of the
fucking
week.
fun.
I'm more like a long-term proposition.
Yeah, I would say so.
As fucking as
Well, at least you can hold a conversation.
I mean, I realize I'm an acquired taste. I get that.
Nah.
I get that.
No, I liked you right away. You were cool right away.
I know I'm a weirdo. I get it. I get it. But I own it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's all right.
We
And
gotta
that's
get
not
back
an
to the
insult.
show, man. Fucking time's fucking rolling on.
I don't have like that much left.
No,
to
you
go.
don't. Okay, we're
I
good.
mean,
All right.
seriously, so
Okay.
it's fine. Yeah, where was I? So, yeah, John Henry. All right, so there have been some other hauntings reported in a bunch of the staterooms, the first class staterooms. They've also, like, a lot of people have seen like this weird, like, he's like this really tall, dark-haired dude, like all his hair is like slicked back and shit, and he has like a 1930s style suit on, like a zoot suit type of thing. I think this is the guy that Ghost of the Queen Mary book calls the dude, because like I said, they have like all these like fucking names for the shit. So a lot of people have seen a dude that looks like that. You know, water running, like I said, lights turning on and off, phones ringing in the in the middle of the night with nobody calling them. Some people have reported like hearing a baby crying in certain rooms. This has been attributed to, maybe somebody had a baby on the ship and it died during I don't know. Like I said, a lot of this shit's like unproven, and a lot of this shit kind of comes from psychics that have been on the ship and have been like, yeah, I have this feeling of like this little boy and his name is this and that and the other. So like I said, I don't know like how much of this is really blah. Now, I also want to mention here that one of the more popular stories about the Queen Mary is this urban legend about this dude, and he supposedly worked as a mess cook during World War II. And I guess that everybody that worked with him hated him so much that one day they decided, hey, we're all going to pick this dude up and shove him in the oven and cook him alive like fucking Hansel and Gretel style. And he died. And so supposedly that's like a cook that like haunts the shit. Now, that is probably not the case. There's no record of that happening. However, there is maybe a cook that died on the ship that maybe was like the kernel of the, story that this like took place. So there was a dude that was a cook on the Queen Mary. Now, he was actually on... Remember I mentioned earlier that the Queen Mary, like, took its final voyage, like, when it was going to Long Beach, because it had been bought, and they were like, well, it'd be good if you had, like, passengers on the last voyage, because that would, like, offset some of the costs, instead of you just having to, like, pay the transportation costs. Like, people would actually pay to, like, ride on the ship. And it wasn't as successful as they hoped, because... Like I said, no air conditioning. There was like, bad food. There was all kind of like shit that happened. People bitched and moaned. People got off at every stop, and it was like kind of a shit show. So during that final voyage where they had to go around Cape Horn, apparently there was a cook on the Queen Mary that did die on the ship. However, he was not murdered. He died of heat stroke. So... a lot of people during that voyage apparently were hospitalized for various heat-related illnesses. But he was the only one that died. And I feel like over the years, that kind of became like somebody pushed him into the oven. Like I said, Hansel and Gretel type of shit going on. So I kind of feel like that happened. He wasn't murdered. He just died of like heat stroke. So there was a cook that died. So I think that's where that legend came from, because many people have reported seeing an apparition that looked like a cook, or like that struck them like a cook. So also other people have said that like they've been in other parts of the ship and it heard like weird knocks, like doors slamming, weird squeals, like I said earlier, like the sound of like a whole bunch of people screaming, which may have been attributed to the Krakoa incident. You know, ship being like super cold all of a sudden. A lot of people have reported smelling like cigars, like smoking and stuff, even though obviously nowadays like smoking isn't allowed on the ship. But some people are like smelled cigars, so some people said, oh, it's Winston Churchill because he spent a lot of time on the ship and he had an office on there. His desk is still there. And the funny thing is that I saw a picture of like Winston. Here's what I was picturing. Winston fucking Churchill, right?
Look like a baby.
Well,
looks like a baby.
No, babies look like Winston
Babies
Churchill.
look like Winston.
Every baby looks like Winston Churchill. Well, when they said that Winston Churchill's desk was still on the Queen Mary,
yeah,
I was picturing like some fabulous like Victorian. I was picturing like some pimp and shit.
Yeah, it was nothing with it.
It looked like some like sub IKEA bullshit. It was like, seriously, it was as wide as this. It was like,
that was
oh
his
my
desk
God.
For like the 3 days he stayed there. What
well, however long, I think it was 5 or 6 days,
5 or 6 days,
like across the Atlantic.
Okay.
But because, like I said, he took this ship like every time he went over the thing, because he really liked this ship, but like because it was like really luxurious like back in the day. But when I first saw the desk, I was like, wait, that's it? You can buy better shit than that like from Walmart nowadays. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
But back then, that was like kind of like the height of fucking luxury. It's like it was like this little bitty. It was like maybe 4 or 5 feet wide. Had a couple drawers. That's it.
Look at Alex. What Alex said. Read what Alex said.
Where?
Right there on the bottom of the group. That shit is fucking funny.
I feel like Sylvia Brown would get on the ship, close her eyes, concentrate. This. I'm getting a feeling of what? Yeah.
Water. I'm getting a feeling of water.
Well, she said that every fucking time. This is
Sylvia
why.
Brown taking me back to
She's
fucking
dead now, right?
Geraldo and shit.
That fucking bitch.
Yeah, she said those
her.
girls were dead. No, they were down there in fucking old what's his name's fucking basement.
Yep. Ariel Castro.
Yeah, those were Castro's basement. Yeah.
Yeah, she went on fucking. I don't know.
She's dead now?
I think she died. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
I don't know if it was on Geraldo, if it was another talk show.
So she didn't live long enough to see him freed?
Oh, now I have to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she died like fairly recently.
Okay, so maybe she didn't get freed.
Yeah, she told their families that they were dead.
That they were dead. That was some fucking 80s and 90s dead mall shit there, wasn't it? She's like something.
This is why I don't like TV psychics.
TV psychics from the fucking 90s.
That's fucked up.
That was some shit, bro. I remember all that.
Don't can you imagine if your daughter had been kidnapped and you didn't know where she was? And then you go on some I don't know why you would, but you go on some fucking talk show. I would never do that in a million years. But if you want to like some fucking talk show and you had some like and you actually believed that this woman could like tell you something, substantive about what had happened to your daughter, and this woman just, oh well, they're dead. Can you imagine? Like, oh my God. And then like later they found, I just
Sophie
can't.
said she died in 2013.
Yeah, I thought she was dead.
Sophie, man, it was a...
Fuck that bitch,
Sophie,
seriously.
you would never understand.
Fuck that bitch.
You would never understand the world that we grew up in. Back in our day, you were lucky to have 20 channels of television. And only like 7 or 8 of them were good. Okay? And you'd have some fucking... What is that?
I thought Pookie was trying to get in, but...
And you'd have Geraldo and Sally Jesse Raphael. They had these things called daytime talk shows. I don't even know if they still exist anymore.
They might, probably.
They might. They were kind of addictive in a way. They were like junk food television. You could watch them, and it went by pretty fast, and it was just the format of it I tried to watch some shit like that recently, and fucking, it's hard to go back to those days. Very hard.
You didn't have a lot of other options.
There were no options back then.
Zach said, "Do you remember Miss Cleo?" I remember Miss Cleo.
Yeah.
She was like the fake Jamaican, right?
Yeah, that's right.
She's not Jamaican.
No.
Sorry,
it's just so funny
your bubble,
how much the world has changed. Back in those days,
for the better, hopefully.
It has, because back in those days, it was a top-down society. They showed you what they wanted you to see. There was no internet. You couldn't network. You couldn't watch people that you wanted to watch based upon the information they gave you in the past or the shows. Or basically like this. This is a highly targeted show. This is only to a certain kind of people that like what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're just...
It's custom.
You 9,000 people...
Yeah, 9,000
people. Don't think we're annoying as
right,
shit.
yeah.
Because apparently everyone else does.
Back when we were coming up, a show like this could never exist on television. Maybe something like on fucking, like local TV.
Yeah, because I've seen some like public access from back then, and man, that shit was bad. Like way worse. It
was much worse than what we're giving you. Although there were some public access legends. Fucking
sure.
There's a fucking channel on YouTube called Wang with a fucking exclamation point on the end. He talks about some public access legends. But it's just the flow of information was very narrow back then.
Well, I will say that just for the record, Mystery Science Theater, my favorite thing ever, started as a local TV show. I mean, they had a local, it was in, Minnesota. They were on a local TV station. They had when they first started, they had a fucking call-in line. You could call in and, like, it would record it, like, on their fucking machine or whatever, like they had back in fucking 1989 or whatever it started. So, not everything that was just locally produced was bad. So that did, I mean, even though their early episodes were very primitive, there were the seeds of, like, something greater in that. So I'm not going to say that like everything that was locally produced was shitty, because it wasn't. But I do feel like a lot of public access stuff was just like crazy people ranting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of it was. Now some people are talking about, in the comments, they're talking about all kinds of stuff. It was just a fucking different time, man. In a way I liked it because, okay, look. Alex Jones, a couple days back, posted a clip of David Bowie back in the 90s talking about the internet. And David Bowie is prophetic as a motherfucker.
Well, he was always ahead of everything.
He was way ahead. I think
he was an alien, maybe.
He mentioned some aliens in the fucking in the clip. He said,
"That's my conspiracy theory. David Bowie was an alien."
He was making jokes about it.
I know. I'm making a joke.
He was telling the interviewer, he said, back in the 70s and the 80s, we were growing up in one truth. And we also knew the one lie. There was also one lie and there was one truth. But he said this internet thing is like an organism unto itself. All right? It will fragment society. Everyone will have their own version of truth and their own version of lie. And I was just like, what he was saying, and he said that it will grow exponentially. And he says, we have no idea what medium and media will look like in the coming decades. He says, because what people will be able to do in the future, he says it won't, it will just blow away what we can offer in the traditional media. And he's talking about movies and film, movies and TV, which is absolutely true. He's talking about shows like this. Shows like this could have never existed in the 90s. And it's just, I thought it was fucking, what he said fucking blew my mind, man.
Well, like I said, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like, it's not completely unprecedented because, I mean, we grew up in the late 70s, early 80s when you had the democratization of music. Yeah. In the sense that it became very much cheaper to produce your own albums and tapes and shit like that. You could produce your own zines. So the whole post-punk revolution you know,
it was based on that.
Yeah, because I feel like up until then, you had to have a record company. You had to have like millions of dollars behind you. Like you had to have a studio. You had all this other kind of shit.
80s
but in the 70s, that all went out the window, and everyone could kind of do their own thing. And like punks were doing their own thing. They were starting their own labels. So I kind of feel like it's like the equivalent of that.
Right.
It's just like it's on a much larger global scale. That's all.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
But he was right. It did kind of fragment society. He said that the medium would be tailored to specific audiences, and some of them would be very tiny to give them exactly the experience they wanted, and it would fragment reality into, you know what I mean, millions of different versions of reality, and million different versions of truth. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. The death of these huge fucking media companies. Even Disney is in danger right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least as far as entertainment consumption is concerned, I mean, I can easily... I mean, I have YouTube, I subscribe to Netflix, I subscribe to Hulu, I subscribe to Shudder, I have Tubi, which is free. You know, I can just go on there, I can watch pretty much anything I want to watch at any time that I would like to watch it, which is crazy, because if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you didn't really have that luxury.
You know, what was funny is in the clubs, man, fucking in the early 90s, it was kind of... internet was around, but it wasn't really a culture like it is now. We would do these club nights and stuff down in New Orleans, and we would use Repeatograph to make little fanzines, goth fanzines. And in them, we would mention all of our friends and shit that they did. It was kind of like our version of the internet back then. And they would become kind of semi-local famous in the scene based on some little bitty shit that we wrote about them in a damn fanzine.
Yeah.
With little photos. Black and white photos with a Repeatograph. We just stapled that shit together in my ex-wife's fucking office.
Yeah.
In our off time. Isn't that funny how reality has changed so much? Nowadays, that would be nothing.
Well, like
but back then, that was a big deal.
In a lot of ways, like, I feel like, you know, as shitty as some things are nowadays, I do kind of feel like in a lot of ways it's very much easier, especially for somebody like me that back in the 90s, I was very frustrated because I felt like... Well, I wanted to do, you know, I wanted to publish stories. I wanted to, like, make zines. I wanted to do shit like that. And it was, like, really hard to kind of crack any kind of... I got, like, some music reviews published, like, in a local magazine. It's like, I did shit like that, but you couldn't really break out on, like, a fucking national, international kind of thing. To the extent that you can nowadays.
Right.
So the fact that you can do all this shit now, like, when... the shit started, I think the first thing I got into was Cafe Press, where you could upload your designs. Because I'm a graphic designer too. You could upload your designs onto like shirts and mugs and shit like that, and you could sell them like in a store. And I think that was like the first thing I got into back in like the early 2000s, and I was like, holy fucking crap! It's like this is like super cheap, and you didn't have to like put any money up, and like people could just like buy your shit, and they would just like take a bit, you'd take a bit, and it's like, okay, awesome. And then like when self-publishing came along, I was just like, holy fucking crap, I don't have to like deal with anybody. I can just like put my shit up, I can design my own book covers, I can do all that kind of shit. And it was like fucking revelatory, because that's what I always wanted to do. I mean, I don't like, you know, like I said, I'm a creative person. If I'm gonna like write a book, I not only want to write the book, I want to do the layout, I want to do the cover, I want to do everything. I want the product to be entirely my product. I don't want anybody else doing the cover. I don't want anybody else fucking up my layout. I don't want anybody else picking my fucking fonts. I'm like a control freak like that. Yeah. I want it to be like an expression of my vision. That's what I want. And so like now that you can do that nowadays, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sophie's talking about that too. He said that was spot on Bowie. Yeah, Bowie foresaw all of this. The internet, fucking YouTube, fucking making shit through fucking robots and your own shirts, fucking controlling your own personal media, target marketing it to a certain audience. He foresaw all this. And he foresaw the fucking breakdown of the fucking old school traditional medias, the big corporate medias. He didn't think those would survive. Hey, man, That sexy motherfucker back in the day was entertaining me through these albums. There was more to him than meet the eye. That dude was very fucking smart. He understood the ramifications of the technology. Even back in the mid 90s, he understood what that would lead to. I thought that was astounding.
Well, like I said, you have to think that, I mean, even when you listen to his music or like listen to any of his interviews from the time, he was very, very much ahead of his time. Yeah. Like he was very much on the cutting edge of everything.
He was high. Always. He was very high IQ. Very high IQ.
He was someone that, because I feel like sometimes you get people that are like, you know, they're real cutting edge, like in their youth or whatever. But he kind of seemed like
he stayed up to date.
Right. He very much seemed up to, even when he was older, he was just like on the cutting edge of everything that was going on at the time. He was very, very much aware of what was going on. And he was very good at like predicting what was going to be like a big thing later. He was just really, really good at that.
We saw him. We were seeing his fucking videos up here in this house when he was dying. His new album came out. I didn't know what he was trying to tell me, but then later on when he died, we realized what is he trying. Remember with the fucking videos of him, the bandages around his eyes, that he was dying of cancer because he kept that shit quiet. But very impressed with fucking Bowie. He lived a fucking outstanding life. And he was young when he was old.
His whole life, he just like lived it with complete class.
He knew what he was doing.
And complete integrity.
And here's another thing about David Bowie. A lot of people don't know this. Okay. He was one of the richest musicians ever. Mm-hmm. But his money didn't come from music. The guy who made the most money on music was Michael Jackson. But fucking Bowie was richer, but the money didn't come from his music. It came from real estate investments. Bowie was a fucking very intelligent.
Same thing happened with I'm gonna say Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney, he made a lot of money in music, but he also like invested in real estate, art, like other things that were like he diversified is what I'm saying, which is always kind of like a smarter thing to do. And I feel like Bowie did that shit as well because you kind of have to think if you're a rock star, quote unquote.
That's a fleeting thing.
It is. You really have to like get into some other shit if you're gonna like have any kind of sustainability like over the long term. And I feel like, I mean, especially back then, might not be.
Bowie was the man.
Might not apply nowadays.
And I loved his final words. Tell them I was a closeted heterosexual.
See, that's what I mean. Even up to the very end, it was all on brand.
Oh no, he said, "Don't tell them. Don't tell them I was a closeted heterosexual."
Fantastic. That was just kind of like the fucking. That was the chef's kiss on the end of the whole fucking shit. Yeah. Like I said, that was like some Oscar Wilde shit. Either those curtains go or I do, and then
he was pretending that he was gay.
Hilarious. You couldn't ask for anything better. He didn't go out like a bitch. He didn't go out like he just like said that and then he's like, bye, I'm out. Yeah.
He went out in a fucking
fantastic.
He went out in a haze of morphine, so fucking that's cool.
Well, like I said, and
he didn't suffer.
Like I said, he kept control of his brand till the very end, which like I said, I respect that.
Yeah, that's fucking fun.
Because it was kind of like just he had this whole like fucking curated life and curated death, which that's fantastic. Yeah. Although I have to say, do you remember we went to iBar? I think with the Saturday after David Bowie died. Yeah. Do you remember that shit?
I remember.
I remember.
And they played nothing but David Bowie music.
They played pretty much. I mean, they played some other shit too, but they played pretty much like a lot of David Bowie like that night.
The first couple hours, yeah.
And I thought I was gonna cry, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna mess up my makeup. I was okay until they played Changes.
Yeah, it was a good song.
Then I started crying. Everyone was crying though, so it was okay. Everyone was dancing and crying.
It's all right. Once we die, we all go into the fucking cosmic fucking singularity. That you see Bowie, you can experience Bowie. Yeah, fucking. Like I said, I was taking an acid and I was.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that when I die, it'll just be like being on acid and being like everything.
You're watching Bowie.
Like we're all. Yeah, because like we watched all the Bowie videos.
Yeah, talking to Bowie while I'm fucking on acid. So how is that the end of the show?
Pretty much, yeah. There's a lot of hauntings, other people have seen ghosts, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But yeah, I covered it. You're fine.
Covered it.
So, so you can talk about other shit if you want to.
No, that's it.
But I'm just saying that, I kind of hope, like I said, I don't believe in afterlife or any of that bullshit, but I'm just hoping that when I'm dying, I hope that it'll be like you're on acid. Because that was one of the best things about acid, was just feeling everything was okay. We were all connected. Yeah. And everything was going to be fine. That's the first time
she'd ever fucking experienced.
Yeah, and
it's that cosmic consciousness.
Like I said, I was like, man, shit, I need to do this more often, because I feel like this would be like a big help to people with like mental health issues.
Yeah, I think it is.
That's what I thought. Because I thought, because I have, like, I don't have any really, like, super bad, like, mental health issues, but I have, like, you know, issues with, like, depression, anxiety, shit like that. But it's like, when I took that, I was kind of like, oh, everything's all right.
Yeah.
We're all connected.
It's like the cosmic singularity type stuff.
We're all connected.
So, if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and ask questions now. Maybe we can get to them.
And then it was all, like, awesome.
Yeah.
Am my third drink, seriously?
Another drink?
No, I said, am I on my third drink? Seriously. This is my third one.
Yeah, I think that's your third one. Yeah.
Zach says, I'm worried if I did acid, I'd kill someone or cut my dick off.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. Well, okay. I'm not an expert, I'm going to say. I've only done it one time.
No, nothing would happen to you, Zach.
But you've done it a couple times.
Me?
You've done it
a couple dozen times.
Okay, a couple dozen times.
Yeah, since I was a kid, yeah.
I found it, and like I said, I've had, like, you know, I'm a depressive person. I have, like, anxiety stuff and everything, but when I did that, I could understand, you know how all the annoying hippies are just like, oh, we're all one, blah, 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 and I always thought that was really annoying, but I get that now.
Yeah.
I get, like, where they get that sensation from. Because that's what... But, that said, you have to go into... When you do acid, you have to go into it with a mindset that it's going to be good for you. Because if you go into it, like,
you can't
fearful...
it'll be bad,
Then don't... Yeah. Right. Don't do that. Like, if you have a bad attitude about it, like, oh, I'm going to have, like, a bad trip, or I'm gonna, like, don't do that. Because I kind of feel like the way that you approach it has an effect on how it turns out for you.
It responds to what you want.
Right.
Or what you're suspecting. Right. So you have to be...
I had a very, very good experience on it.
You have to be in a very safe environment that's comfortable to you, around a bunch of good people that are going to take care of you, and then fucking you can take it. And it has to be an exploration thing. It can't be a, wow, let's get high and have fun thing. It's not what it's about. It's more of a fucking inner voyage and inner experience. It's spiritual. It's the same thing the Indians were talking about with spirit walk and walking through the spirit world. Now, when I tell you about walking through the spirit world, does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but like I said, but I can see what you're saying. Like, if you're doing it for the first time, because I had never done it before, he had done it several times. So he said, "I'm gonna watch you. Like, don't worry about it. You need to have somebody that's done it before that's gonna watch you, because if I had not had somebody that was watching me, I would have gone in the backyard and started eating grass because I thought I was a werewolf."
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I don't think I would have
you wouldn't have actually done it.
I wouldn't have done anything bad. I wouldn't have done anything bad.
Well, here's the thing.
I just thought I was a werewolf.
I've been through that situation before.
Right.
You know what would have happened? You'd have gone out there and says, "I'm a werewolf," and you'd have eaten a little bit of grass. You go, "Oh, it didn't taste good." And you'd have stopped eating. And you'd
I'm going back inside.
That's what would have happened. You were just afraid that you would go out and do it. That's not what would happen. That's not.
But I'm glad that you were there. Like, no.
Yeah, I say no, don't go outside.
Don't go outside.
Yeah. After at least after your first trip, you can control yourself because you know what to expect.
Right.
It's like knowing the rules.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
But like I said...
and you don't have the fear because it's not as strong as you thought it was.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like,
it's not that strong.
I took the first... Okay, so this was the first time I did it. I did a hit and a half.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
And I was expecting it to be much stronger. Like, I could feel it, but not as much as I expected to. Like, I couldn't type on my laptop because it was, like, fucking doing, like, weird distortion shit. But it wasn't as over... It was like being drunk, but you weren't...
You're not intoxicated, though.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like it's like you're drunk, but you're still, like, coherent.
You're in total control of yourself, but you're observing things, you're seeing things. And you're kind of experiencing things.
Because, like, when you're drunk, sometimes it's like... Yeah. Like, sometimes I get drunk and, like, the next morning I'm like, what the fuck did I do last night? Like, I don't remember.
Yeah, Eric J says...
It's not like that.
Eric J says, pure acid's better than mushrooms. Yeah, it is.
It is.
I've had them both. It's also better than fucking peyote, which I've had that also. Yeah, good. The best acid I ever had was from a friend who was at the University of Michigan.
Don't name names. I know who you're talking about, but don't
exactly
name names.
He's a biochemist, okay, that studied at the University of Michigan. We and him grew up together. And they were making shit in those fucking laboratories at the fucking at U of M back in the fucking 80s or 90s. 80s, actually. Late 80s. And they were making stuff in that fucking biochemistry fucking outfit down there, man. That would fucking blow your mind. There's no difference cost-wise in making a few drops of LSD and making a few gallons of LSD. So they would make the shit by the gallon. Now, it doesn't have a long shelf life.
Sure. And
so that means it's not really, you can't really sell it. So they just gave it away.
Yeah.
And that shit
it's going to go bad.
It's going to go bad. And that shit there, man, was fucking fantastic. All right? And it would just take you to another fucking planet. But the thing is that you have to respect it. It's not really a recreational drug.
Well, it's not something you want to do every day.
It's a spiritual thing.
And also, I will admit, it makes you feel like absolute shit the next day. You will feel like absolute shit the next day.
But a lot
picture a hangover.
Yeah.
Way worse than that.
But a lot of good music and a lot of good art came from that. If you fucking want to know what kind of music can come from that, listen to The Cure. The Cure is very LSD inspired, especially like the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me album. Very LSD inspired. Very psychedelic, you know. But you take it in the right environment, safe environment, around the right people. It's not anything. It's not a fucking druggy drug, really. It's not like cocaine.
Like I said, it's not something you want to take all the time. It's just kind of something that is kind of like it's weird to say, but it's almost kind of like a treat.
Yeah, it's like a spiritual journey. But you know, we haven't had it in years. You know, I mean, it's been
a couple years since the last time. Yeah. And did we tell the story about like last time we took the shit? It was like it was a weekday. It was like a Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
I was off work.
Yeah.
And we decided to take it on a fucking Tuesday.
Yeah.
We were like tripping balls.
Yeah.
And like some dude came to the door.
The mailman, yeah. And I was dealing with the mailman. I had to sign for his shit.
I was holding
on to the fucking... and he's looking at me and I says, dude, I'm fucking loaded.
The funny thing was that he was delivering a package.
Yeah.
He comes to the door and he rings the doorbell. And the first thing we did was flip out.
Hide. We were hiding.
We were hiding in the closet.
In our own house, we're hiding.
And we were trying to like, we have a walk-in closet. It has like this little bitty window, like way up on the fucking shit. And you can kind of see the front porch if you like climb up. And so we're trying to like climb up and like look at it. It's like, who is that? Who is that? We were like wigging out. We were like all paranoid. And we didn't want to answer the door. It was so fucking funny. And then finally, he goes and answers the door, and the dude thought it was fucking hilarious.
No,
I wonder if that dude still tells the story.
I don't know. No, maniac. No, fucking. What I'm talking about the shit not lasting is that the shit that we were getting from the university wasn't on blotter. It was liquid. It hadn't been put on paper, and there was nothing to combine it on paper. It was just pure liquid, and that liquid stuff would disintegrate evidently pretty quickly. It was very strong, and evidently it would lose its potency. You know, the molecules would start breaking down, evidently. But if you put it on paper, they're using different kinds of chemicals to fucking fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To keep it preserved. But the real shit, I think it was LSD 25, which is liquid. And you had to use it up within a month or so. And you couldn't sell a gallon of that in a month.
No.
You know?
No, there's no way.
Yeah, in a month it was at half strength.
DJ Maniac says you need at least 2 days to recover from LSD. Yeah.
Yeah, if it real
I went to work the next day and I still regret it to this fucking day. Oh, I felt so terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got through that day, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a good time.
Yeah. DJ's going, I know what I'm going to do on the fucking...
We took it early and, like, we had a whole fun day with that shit. We had a whole adventure. But then I had to go, like, I was off work on that Tuesday, and then Wednesday I had to go to work, and then I woke up the next day and I'm like, oh no.
We got 2 thumbs down on the stream. It's always them same 2.
Well, you know.
I'm going to beat a motherfucker's ass. It's got to be some kind of joke.
I mean...
There's always 2.
Yeah, but...
Why are they watching? They hate watching.
Well, here's the thing.
Hey, that's some shit.
People like that... It doesn't bother me because I'm like, look, no one in the world asked you for your opinion, and yet you gave it anyway, but no one cares.
Eric said it was Google.
That's the thing that I would like to say about everyone that downvotes the show. It's like, no one in the world cares about your opinion.
Says, shut up before I make it 3.
No one in the world cares about your opinion.
Yeah.
Aw, are you sad now?
Okay, everybody's checking off. We're down to 40 now. Let's go ahead and say goodbye. We're going to get the hell out of here, Jenny.
All right.
Time to fucking shut it
Fucking ghosts.
Yeah, ghosts.
Are on the Queen Mary.
Show's over.
Go to Long Beach. Check that shit out. I guess you can still go there.
If you like the show, fucking please share and subscribe and like the show. We will be back in a couple days.
Actually, we'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're going to be talking about Blood Vessel.
Blood Vessel. Oh, that's a good movie. Yeah. We're going to review a movie called Blood Vessel. You guys might want to see that on Shudder.
It's on Shudder.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Good vampire movie.
It's Australian, I think.
Yeah, about a fucking ancient Russian vampires on a Nazi ship.
It's a Strigoi.
Yeah, Strigoi.
Yeah. So, you know. Yeah. All right, so that'll do it. Well, like, you can't even be bothered to, like, stay for the end of the show.
No, I'm here.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm here. I'm just putting shit up.
Look at this shit.
Putting shit up. Go ahead.
All right. We love you guys. Thank you for dropping by. Holy crap, I can't believe we can go 3.5 hours. Yep. If you like the show, please like, share, subscribe on all your social media. Please like, please subscribe. That really does help. We're almost at 10,000. We're really trying to get there. Also, if you would like to financially support the show, you can go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/13o'clock podcast. I only just started. If you would like to do an annual subscription, you can save 16%. So might want to go check that out. I just like fucking enabled that today. So go see what that's all about. But if you don't really like Patreon, if you'd like to just kind of give us a little bit of tip or something like that, you can go to our blog, 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, and there's a button in the sidebar which goes to a PayPal account that goes to us, covers all our fucking camera expenses, all our microphone expenses, all our various expenses, and it would be much appreciated. And we will see you tomorrow. Like I said, we're going to review another movie tomorrow. We watched it already. It's awesome. So yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.